Okay.
For us to argue over how long we want of downtime. We do need to go back and double check on the territory and probably start discussing who actually is going to be made responsible officially on paper for that.
You probably should, but that should probably be a thing when at least one of the people who nominally is in the list is here.
I mean, Taryn and Eirik are both in the list, but Taryn's not getting it. Session 20, by the way. Good job, everybody. We made it to session 20.
If Taryn gets it, something very strange will have happened.
Nope.
I'm sure there's a social manipulator Terran out there somewhere who can pull it off.
Oh god, I don't want to think about social manipulator Terran.
I mean, if you kill this Taryn, that's what you're getting. Maybe.
I don't suppose there's any eventuality where Terran dies and we do not get a new Terran. We get something other than a Terran.
I believe if any party member dies, we're probably getting a Terran.
I think there are some people who would not roll a Terran on principle, but...
I don't think... Well, I was going to say, I don't think Sean would, but I think, you know, out of character, Sean's going to come back as a Terran just to spite me.
The Terran... do one, like, Thief Terran that has a grudge against you and wants you dead?
He didn't want me dead. He just wanted to make my life a living hell.
Which he succeeded at.
Yes, he did.
He accomplished his life goals at a very young age. We should all be proud of him.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't even know about I don't know what the two of you would think, Dan or Dave. I don't think you guys would come back as Terrans, but I don't know.
I might well for the lull.
Also, if I were to do it, it would be for the wall.
It depends how much time is left in game.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, actually, one thing that I need to do is I need to see how many days it takes you guys to get the fuck back home from where you were.
A good question. A good and righteous question.
It's 2. 3, 4. Alright, so it takes you a week to get back to Cardass.
Okay. I guess I will...
This is mostly relevant for, like,
I mean, I had in my notes, it takes us a week to get back to our initial town from where we came. Oh, no, wait, that's later.
So it's a week to get back to Cardass, and then, like, another 3 days to get back to your initial town.
Which is Fradrasina, right?
Yep.
I love how the grid is smaller now, so we have more viewing room.
I didn't realize I could change the size of the grid. Being able to change the size of the grid is fixed to everything. I just need to pull open one of my things.
Yeah. Other plot elements that might make sense to wait longer until Ricky, as Eirik is here, is the thing of like the corruption in various guard ranks that we found.
Mm-hmm.
Which annoyingly, that and the who takes over the territory are the 2 plot points I want to push, but they're reliant on another player being here, so I guess neither is happening.
Which means
unless we want to deal with random corrupt nobles.
Which means we get to deal with the intersection of, I believe it's the Mafia and the Earth Movers Guild.
You know, there are a lot of people that probably are corrupt in dealing with the Mafia, so...
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna say you guys at least know that Anya probably got some of that, because Anya definitely got called in to go help family with shit.
Okay.
And that's the reason why Anya's not here.
Oh, do we not have her? Do we not have Laura at all?
Correct.
Yeah.
I missed that. I missed her. Okay.
Yeah, he's not great.
He is just low on energy today.
That's sad.
Yeah. It's in scheduling.
Yep. Okay. So, go after people that have suspected or known criminal ties.
Well, so here's the thing. Do you guys know how long you've been gone?
A while. Too long.
Here's
Uh,
another
don't
way
think
of
2
saying the
months.
Same thing.
well, let's.
Um,
Since we were at the party, or since we were back in Fradracina proper doing stuff?
Since the party.
Since the party, 4 weeks.
2 weeks.
A week to get up there. A week and a half.
5 weeks and change.
Okay.
Like, you've not been gone for like a month and a half.
Well, time to spend at least a few days in a few days or a week in Kargaz, seeing who fucked up the paperwork now.
I mean,
And I hate all of you for this being my life.
this is
Yeah.
in fact your life, and there's paperwork fuck-ups. They're like perfectly normal paperwork fuck-ups, though, if that makes sense.
It is not the this is conspiracy out to get you paperwork fuck-ups that were the old paperwork fuck-ups.
Yeah, this is a few reports are late and or partially illegible, so you have to go back and have someone redo them.
Yeah, so that's going to be some. That is probably going to be a week when we get back of Aiden being away from the rest of the party.
Yep.
So correct me if I'm wrong, but 10 days of traveling training time equates to what?
Basically, it's training that you have to do on the move.
Mm-hmm.
Like grabbing riding or teamster or hiking or navigation would make sense. Grabbing academics would not.
Better question. How many hours is it?
So call it a week. You get a week, so 50 hours.
Which is what, half a point?
Quarter, I think.
Quarter of a point if you don't have a teacher.
Hiking. Not an actual point. That is a useful thing to have some hours in for later.
Yep, a couple of ranks in case you need to randomly go through the woods.
Precisely.
I think mine is going to start building up a riding skill. Yeah, riding. Because if I put 1 point into riding, it jumps up to a 10. Okay. Do.
No.
Boo 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 boo.
It needed to happen. Alright, but yeah, simple training time for you guys for that.
Mine's
Sean,
probably going to be towards naturalists because I'm pretty sure the answer to how long does it take to brew a potion with herbalism is way too fucking long.
I think the other answer is you're taking probably a 50, like, it's going to take twice as long because you're trying to do it in the back of a wagon.
But so many drugs are brewed in the back of vans.
Yes, but the vans usually aren't moving when that happens.
This isn't Breaking Bad.
And the answer is it takes a week. It takes a week by default. You can roll at -1 for trying to do it for getting with the penalties to get a healing potion.
That's
Okay, that's going to be...
That's not bad.
That's not bad, but I'm only doing I only have a chance of succeeding because I have a talent, so...
I mean, you can roll at -2 to try and get 2 of them.
How many points do I... I would... I will try it. I'm rolling against 12.
Risk it.
Nope, do not get
No.
any, I guess.
Aiden gets a skunked healing potion that he can tell is skunked because the wagon was bumping too much at the wrong time.
Therefore,
And that just gets thrown out into the woods.
So feed it to Taryn, see if it has a different result than one that worked properly.
A different result for normal than a one that worked properly, or a different result than what he has for what works properly.
A different. So a healing potion has particular effects on Terran. Does a botched healing potion have different effects on Terran? This is science.
Not sure I'd say botched, but sure, let's try it, I guess.
How are you getting Taryn to drink this?
I ask Anya to give it to or Kristoff to give it to you.
I'll take it from either of them.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
I would include Victor in this list, but I'm pretty sure Victor in character is a little bit more of a professional and won't just give a Terran random drugs.
He has do no harm.
I have pacifism about not harming innocents.
Of which you do not think Taryn is.
It's debatable.
Taryn lost his innocence 4 sessions ago. Even Taryn knows that.
I was trying to remember what you were referring to, and then I'm like, oh, right, that happened.
Yep. And then I made it worse.
Yes, you did.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
And then hate crimes were committed.
It's true.
Things have gone dark.
I hate all Tarans is the party's mantra. Okay, so, Nick, I will drink it if Kristoff or Anya gives it to me.
Are either of you willing to give a random potion to Kristoff? And by to Kristoff, I mean to Terran.
Will you pay me?
No?
Nah.
Like, I don't... Like, why... I don't really care that much about doing this.
Well, then there you go. If you don't care enough to pay me, I don't care enough to do it.
Yeah, I mean, if you count the fact that you basically get free drinks at every bar we go to, I could argue that I'm paying you then, but whatever.
You cashed in all those chips when I had to run a do-gooder heist, so...
Yeah, fair, whatever.
I can't believe I won that argument.
I don't care enough.
That's actually the worst argument I've ever heard, and it worked.
Yeah, it's the thing of, I will check with Victor real quick since he's actually here on whether or not he feels like giving this to Taryn to see what will happen. But other than that, I don't care enough to really follow up on it.
But here's the thing, Izzy. If I can't be the best, I could certainly be the worst.
Mission accomplished.
That's kind of where the entire party is sitting.
It's true.
It's true. Dave, it's your job to keep the three of us corralled tonight.
Yeah, I do not expect significant success at that.
The question for that is, how many buildings will be burned down by the end of the night? You don't normally have Harry Dresden in control of the party, but...
Hey, he's not responsible for most of the buildings that are set on fire around him.
Most is the key.
Exactly. It just happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Oh dear.
What I do have is another potential plot hook once we get to Fredricina.
I think we're assumed we're there at this point, right? Because we have nothing to do in Cargaz outside of
make sure Cargaz doesn't burn down, which is probably going to be, and starve, which is probably going to be a weak detour into Cargaz.
I mean, it's probably be a bit of detour than Iric saying, "I got this."
Also, the burning down part is most easily accomplished by us leaving. Am I
I
wrong?
mean, we do have to be worried about angry barbarian hordes in the vicinity, though there has been a lot done to
I mean,
appease them. So
they're just filthy barbarians. Sir Irik's got this.
I'll just remind you of everything Eirik was that of all the things that Eirik and especially Anya have been saying to you recently. Moving on. Okay, well, if we're in Fredricina, apparently Abby requested some help from the Earth Movers and to get some help with magic in a ruin. Wasn't accepted, but she also didn't follow up at all. So I want to go at least say hi and see what's up.
sure. Looking at random magical ruin always seems fun.
Why are we going to a magical room?
It's a filler arc.
Filler arc, stuff might happen.
Well, no, I said magical room.
Ruin.
Where magic happens.
I don't think anyone wants to enter Terran's magical room.
I don't think anybody
No.
wants to. I don't think anybody wants to explain how a magical rune works to Terran. That is left with us right now, unless Victor wants to take a stab at it.
I mean, probably throw in enough jargon to confuse the hell out of Terran.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You see him trying to take some notes, and then he just looks at you, and his eyes glaze over. He's like, "What?" And then blinks a couple of times.
Yep. All right. So, going back to Frauders, there are a couple of things that people would get pretty fast. I mean, I'm assuming Aiden would get drunk pretty fast.
It's true no
Yeah.
matter where we're going.
Yeah.
Yep.
One thing that Aiden would pick up, and you don't even need to bother rolling this, is that his favorite bar has definitely had fewer people visiting it.
Well, considering the fact that there's no longer the regular night of Aiden buys everyone's drinks, I'm pretty sure that affects things.
It does, but it's even more than that, that it's only the really wealthy people. Like, they have regulars who weren't very wealthy, but a lot of them just haven't been showing up as often.
I guess there will be some investigating on whether or not that has to do with changes of changes of avenue for where people are going, encouragement from the more wealthy patrons for the less wealthy patrons to stay away, or just lots of people losing income.
Yeah, and that's the thing that's the easy thing. It's a lot of people losing income. Like, there were a bunch. This is primarily a merchant town. And there were a lot of people who made a reasonable amount of money that just they haven't been showing, and it's not been as good.
Is this after effects from the reveal of the mine being a scam, or is this new?
Well, the mine being a scam caused a lot of people to immediately lose money. That wouldn't cause, like, a long-term people having less money.
Damn, I would want to recruit Anya for this, but she's not here.
I can tell you out of character. When Anya gets back, Anya's going to be hearing some much more direct reasons for why this is going on from family.
Like, I have generic. I have. If you want me to roll like a generic gather information from Aiden spends a couple of days going through different bars, going to different people, trying to figure out what's going on, I will. But I'm pretty sure Anya gets the correct answer right off the bat.
Well, actually, let's do several days for everyone, because everyone nominally has a job here.
Rolling job skill to do work?
Well, it's more everyone has connections in this town, like, nominally was employed here at some point, even though you are mostly adventurers now.
I don't even remember what the hell my job skill was.
Soldier, it was your wilderness skill because you were ranger in the town guard.
Tracking, right.
Yep.
Are they
Pass
happy
by
to see
one.
me?
They are. Sir Kenny is very polite if Terran comes back and asks if there's any work for him to do or something. He's very obviously not happy Terran is back.
Which means Terran has no idea.
Yep.
Uh-huh. But yeah, he would basically give Terran like some of the normal work Terran would normally be doing. Like take a week for investigation and job roles roughly makes sense.
Yeah.
Assuming you're working.
Pass by 5.
Okay.
I guess I should look into the criminal side of things.
That might be a place where you can find some stuff. You totally get status added to your carousing, Sean.
My status is currently artificially 1 higher, right?
Yes.
Or is it my rank that's artificially 1 higher?
Your rank is artificially 1 higher. You're not actually living at a much higher, you're living as appropriate to that level of lord. The difference is you have a higher rank. Because you have, people under you.
Pass by 7 on criminal shit.
Okay. And, I'm assuming Victor is going to do the visiting Abbey and also checking in with the Earth Movers.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, let's do this in order of least to most information. Which means we start with Terran.
Of course.
Sure.
So the first thing that Terran gets is that, he's coming into town, see, normal stuff. He's going out, he's going into the forest, he's doing his job like normal. There's a bunch of the guards who are like, don't bother with that one, I got this one. When certain groups come into town.
Okay. What specific groups? Do I notice anything specific about them, or? Are
Terran can roll observation at -3.
Observation at -3, you say?
This is not a penalty anyone besides Terran would take.
Yeah, I know. I passed by 1.
Alright, so the big thing that Terran would notice is that they're going really light on the inspections.
Okay, I know where this is going out of character. I have no idea in character.
Yeah. You basically notice that there's some people who are just yeah, their guards are going really light on the inspections for them.
Okay.
You don't really notice any particular symbols or anything like that. Or any oddities. It's specific wagons or guys coming in with giant backpacks loaded with stuff.
Yeah. No, that makes a ton of sense.
Yeah, no problems there, right?
Yeah, none
None
whatsoever.
whatsoever.
None whatsoever.
Yep. Okay. Next is probably Aiden. So, Aiden, are you looking anywhere besides just random bars that Aiden likes?
Well, I'm doing the random bars that Aiden likes, and then he is doing actual politics, which is what the second role was for, if I get to have those as 2 separate roles.
Sure. So I'm assuming you actually visit, Viscount DeFried?
Yes, the people that are important and have nice things, but are kind of boring.
Well, here's the thing. The actual Viscount is not that boring. In fact, he is probably squandering money on overly gallant hunting expeditions and, making his guards' armor look nicer without necessarily being more functional, even though they actually have a competent army here.
Okay. Oh, right, yeah. Vaguely remember which person Freed is.
Yeah, he's the one who is like his city has been making a lot of money and he's been going kind of extravagant with it, but like when you pulled up corruption, it was like, well, he's not being corrupt. He's definitely not being conservative with his money, but like it's definitely money that should be his.
Yep, and it is definitely a thing of there were the areas of where guard, etc., were taking bribes from criminals in the area, but he's not actively doing anything. Right. Which is why there needs to be some Sun Guard and Order of the Rose cleaning house when Irik's around.
Yep. So you go up to his court, you find that Ed is actually a little confused by the current vibe in the city, and at the top level, they're not sure what's real. It's like, it seems like business is coming back from, like, the taxes that people are paying coming in, their imports and exports are going, traffic is flowing through the city, but people don't seem happier. And, like, the Viscount realizes it. Viola's very concerned about this, and she's dumbfounded as to what might be happening. That being the person who's his actual heir, who's in charge of some significant amount of politics locally.
Yep, as we started going over things, I remembered this guy. The guy I decided to choose all of the above for Who Will You Dance at the party.
Yes. And, like, one thing that he's, like, vaguely happy about is, like, the church is actually doing good deeds, and, like, thankfully the church is stepped in to really help people, or the Church of the Turkey is...
This was the Church of the Turkey. Okay, yeah.
Has been stepping in to help people. Ooh. And, okay. Who is next? Both of you are going to get some juicy stuff for Victor and Christoph. I think let's go Victor first. All right, so Dave.
Yeah.
Where did Victor go first? The Earth Movers are to go check in with what's up with Abby.
Well, he knows where to find the Earth Movers for 100%, so...
Abby has an address that he knows about because of the old job. Like, she has a house in the city.
That doesn't mean she's going to be there.
Legit. So the Earth Movers. He comes and he finds... stuff's pretty tense here. One of the big problems is that the Church of the Turkey is coming in real strong, and in particular, like, beyond the regular religion versus magic arguments for how do you deal with problems like properly warding graves. They have just been giving services away, basically.
Oh, GURPs.
And, like, charity, they're basically the current union head's opinion is basically, yeah, I mean, charity's nice and all. The point where the city needed charity ended 3 months ago, and they're still doing it.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, a lot of the standard jobs in regards to, like, warding and dealing with spirits are getting severely undercut, and so those have dried up. Luckily, the Church of the Turkey doesn't really have that many actual Earth mages, so they're getting jobs from construction that... There's getting a lot of jobs from construction, some of which the union's like, some of these we haven't had to negotiate that much, like people are just willing to throw money at it. In particular, more basements, more like back doors into buildings.
Huh. Okay.
The type of thing that's like it feels like there's a lot of wealthy people coming in, but it also when you go around the streets, it doesn't feel that way.
So there's a whole bunch of people who suddenly have extra disposable income that they are spending quickly.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm hearing is that there's a so I'm getting the sense of a whole bunch of unintentional money laundering on the part of the Earth Movers.
Yeah, and she's basically it. On one hand, something feels wrong about it. On the other hand, all of their other sources of income have dried up, so they can't exactly say.
Yeah. Okay. What's Abby got?
Well, going and visiting, her first response is roughly, "What? Who is it this time?" And then probably Victoria is like, "Oh, sorry, I thought you were another lawyer."
I'm glad I've never had that comparison before. And you'll note Aiden is not with me.
Thank you. No, he would not help matters. In fact, it is partially his fault that this has happened.
Oh no.
I'd like to say, what did I do? Because in all honesty, I'm actually very confused at the moment on what I did in this case.
It's just like, is this about that ruin expedition that I was looking for help?
Actually, I just wanted to see what was going on.
It's gonna be weeks, hopefully months, maybe before all this finishes. Pro tip: don't piss off a bunch of nobility. There are so many stupid, tiny, funny, fucking laws on these goddamn books, and I can't challenge them to trial by combat to get through it.
Sorry, Nick. I didn't quite catch all that. So you're a little farther from your mic, I think.
Oh wait, actually, let me swap my mic to not when I'm in gaming mode where I'm typing time. Is this better?
Wind.
That has a lot of background noise.
Let me go turn off my AC, but that's the thing is, I need to turn off my AC and turn my mic to this mode for clarity.
November 12th. Why is your AC on?
Because my building is kept abnormally warm.
Oh dear.
I'm going to point out, Dave, I usually turn off my heating in the winter because of how warm the surrounding apartments are.
Damn.
And just leave it off all winter.
Damn.
So, Abby has a brief rant about stupid, petty, noble bullshit and stupid laws that are on the books that she's running into trouble with now. And she can't goddamn challenge them to trial by combat because none of them are knights.
So, he did something to piss off a bunch of nobles, and they're getting back at her by attempting to enforce the bullshit laws as written. Got it.
Yep. Specifically, it was showing up as Aiden's date to a major party.
Okay, that's why. Yeah, no. Hey, she agreed to that for the sole purpose of pissing off a bunch of nobles.
It's true. She has no one to blame but herself and Aiden.
Like, that was literally the invite was, hey, do you want to piss off a bunch of nobles, including your dad?
Mm-hmm. The difference is, the main thing is like, she's definitely pissed off a bunch of nobles before. Victor could hear is like, a bunch of these things are things that, like, Part of the problem is also she acts like she's a knight and she isn't, in terms of wearing armor and weaponry around town all the time, which is one of the laws that they dinged her with.
I mean, there are solutions to this problem. I can think of multiple, in fact.
Yep. There was that. There was owning magic items that are too expensive.
Wah. Those nobles. Wah.
Yes.
Luigi.
But yeah, that is roughly where she is right now, is dealing with a huge number of like suits and random court proceedings.
Oh dear. Clearly, the solution is to distract these dickwads by causing a bigger problem.
Clearly.
Aiden?
Like, if you go back to me and tell you, I will start coming up with bigger problems to cause, including the fact of, like, we definitely need to disrupt whatever bullshit's currently going on in town, which is going to cause a big enough wave of, hey, everyone has actual real problems to deal with.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like that solving all of the other things will also create a large enough kerfluffle to distract these dickbags.
Mm-hmm.
So...
Yep, and there is one last thing that she is catching flack for that she basically complains is not her fault, is that there's a bunch of people who are complaining about powerful magic items being stolen from them.
Yeah, I have two guesses about who's responsible for that, and it's not that but yeah.
I have one in character and two out of character. Because I don't think we actually know in character, or at least I don't necessarily, that Kristoff is a thief.
No, no,
I was
no,
going
at
with...
this point.
See, I wasn't including those two. I was doing Thief Terran and the person who stole from the Earth Movers.
I was absolutely including Terran. Also, the person who stole from Earth Movers, I'm pretty sure, was the Earth Mage from the mine, because I found a bunch of the stuff.
Oh yeah, and then we ran into her in the border territory where she had the entire gang.
Yes.
Yeah, she was kind of leading a group of bandits in the Borderlands.
We know what to do with bandits in the Borderlands.
Yeah.
Well,
I was gonna say, she is kind of a giant problem.
Yeah, though I believe, as part of a dumb agreement, she was causing less problems around Kargaz.
Yes, which meant she started causing more problems around Fradracina.
Look, I can't be responsible for all the border territories, okay?
Sure you can. It's called being a duke.
Mm-hmm.
Look, I'm responsible. I'm currently on the hook for Kargaz, and I pay attention back home, which is apparently named Seguganistan. I don't know how I read these.
I mean, yes, because I randomly rolled names on the map except for the ones that people told me they had a name for. And then we go to Kristoff, who definitely gets the biggest insight into what's going on.
Are we now not? Isn't this now being privately messaged so people in the party don't know?
No, he just posted.
No, this isn't just Fireball.
Oh, just Fireball. Exactly.
Well done.
Yep.
I still got it. All right, tell me about the criminal underbelly of this town.
Okay, so Mr. Irving, your main contact back to Boss Mooch. he basically looks up and he goes like, well, at least someone competent's back.
That's never a good sign.
No, and I'm sure that if you looked around town, you'd realize where all the problems are.
I've got a couple ideas.
Well, one thing you'd realize is his warehouse staff is a lot smaller right now.
How badly has it shrunk?
About half what it used to be.
Okay. What about the product?
Product's good. Problem is, all my best laborers got driven away by the church.
By the church.
Oh, simple. They were risen.
Fuck.
Turkey assholes.
Yep.
You think if they actually had to worry about finding good labor, they wouldn't be so anti-risen.
Yep. But, is that... Fucking Mulfield has her guys going around, shaking down merchants.
What's the name?
Mulfield. Remember the one who showed up at the party?
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure I had the name right.
Yep. Because, talk to Mooch about it. He's not convinced that we bring in enough money to be worth the investment to fight jitters.
I mean, we're not. This isn't that small of an operation.
It's not that small of an operation, but Jitters sent some of his top people over here.
Yeah, I guess that's true. That's weird, though. Boss isn't usually that passive.
Yeah. Best as I can tell, Jitters and the church have gotten in tight, and they're messing with home turf too.
Well, shit.
But there's only one of two problems that we're dealing with. Thankfully, Jitters is also dealing with it. You ever hear of what do you on the road? Do you hear of the Mad Masons?
I don't think so.
Group of brigands that moved in. If you don't have a good amount of guards and notably magic when you're sending shit, they waylay you and take everything. They say mostly we've managed to stay under by bringing in some folk who don't look as great, but that doesn't help us out when we're trying to sell on the other side. They're mostly taking the piss out of anyone who looks wealthy.
Huh.
Yeah. But
Sorry, is that the church or Maltfield?
no, that's a completely different group that moved in. That's the brigands that moved in.
Right, the brigands. Okay, hold on.
The Mad Masons, you called them, Nick?
Yep. Now, problem for Mulfield is she and the church have been throwing funds at everyone trying to rebuild so long as they play nice. And squeezing any merchant who decides to try arguing or fighting back.
Alright, so we've got incestuous rival criminals mixed up with the church, and you've got brigands running around. Great.
Yep, and I'd hate to say it, I wish we had more guard, but a lot of them have been sent over the border because the barbarians getting restless.
All right. All right. Need a little bit of time to unravel this, I guess.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, you're in big with some high up there nobility. Think you could at least, I don't know, feed them some leaks about Molefield?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. We'll have to, at the very least, he's got some resources to throw. Problem.
Yeah. One thing is, she at least, I mean, it's jitters. They're always way more careful about staying in the letter of the law and letting people do their work for them rather than bring people what they need. Coffee's at least flowing strong.
Yeah, well, coffee almost sells itself.
True enough. True enough. No, we got some guys in the border towns. I sent most of the risen over there. It's not as good as this central location, but we at least have our supplies safe.
Yeah, but if we can't decap Molefield's plane a little bit, it's going to be a problem long term.
Yep. Oh, I will say, boss was thinking. He was kind of looking over at Kargaz as another place to open up after all the news that came out of that shit show.
How close, out of character, how close is Kargaz to where we are?
So if you're on like horseback, you're looking at, it's like 80 miles away.
Okay.
So like if you're on horseback, it's 2 days travel. If you're on foot, it's closer to 4.
Okay. I mean, Kargaz isn't a bad place to open up, but it'd be a hell of a lot stronger if we can get our footing back here.
Yep. So that's pretty much it.
All right, we'll look into it.
See what those high up there connections that you've been making can do.
Yep, we'll talk to Moneybags and see what he can do.
Mm-hmm. And break.
All right, guess I gotta go find Aiden. I know that in character that he danced with Molefield last at the ball, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. I was trying very carefully to not be seen by Molefield.
And Aiden was trying to dance with literally everyone there.
Yep. Like a dick.
He pretty much succeeded. The only reason why he didn't succeed is time.
Time, and there were a couple of people that I suspect as being Fae who turned me down.
I mean, yes.
And if I'm correct with my suspicions, Victor actually passing his fast talk check there is going to be hilarious. / is.
Yep. But, I mean, I feel like the group reconvening in whatever listing of people that you want is a reasonable thing at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when Christoph's hitting the streets otherwise, he can clearly see Irving's guys and Mulfield's guys squaring off over territory as well subtly as they can while there's still guards around.
Okay.
Throughout the day.
So, not terribly from the sounds of it with the amount of money they're throwing around.
Well, here's the thing. These are the guys whose job it is to beat faces.
Right.
Like, there's different groups outside of a bunch of different shops. Basically, a bunch of different criminal organizations getting merchants to pay them protection money.
Yep.
To stop the other criminals from breaking in and wrecking a shit.
Alright. So, how do we undercut a religious organization and some of the head honchos at a rival group?
Mm-hmm.
Without getting murdered.
Well, I don't have any answers to that, but the goal is definitely to ensure that the Church of the Turkey gets stuffed.
I mean,
Stuffed and roasted.
I was not aware that we were close to CSI Miami. I'm glad that assumption has been corrected.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the only thing I noticed was that there were a bunch of shipments that were coming into the city that weren't being, inspected, but I don't think that has anything to do with all this stuff.
Adorable.
Fried and his people are a little bit confused on what's going on. Nothing too separate from what any of the other information I'm pretty sure other people have gotten. There's the fact that despite all the rich people, there is not really any middle or lower class people with money at the moment. And there doesn't seem to be that much going into things.
Middle class is mostly paying protection money.
Yeah.
Like, Fried and his people aren't being corrupt or a problem, but they're also not. They also haven't really figured out what's going on. So.
Would they do anything if we told them what's going on?
His daughter probably would. I'm not 100% sure on him. I don't think I have a good as read on him. Nick, based off what I know of politics and the last time I had met both of them, how do I think he would act?
So, Fried is the type of person who, if you tell him there's a problem and people are being threatened, he's going to march soldiers in and stab people, provided there's proof. He is not a subtle man.
He's not a subtle man. He's very... okay, yeah, that fits with his I need to have several shows of, yep, things are going well.
Yeah, like, the thing is, if you give him proof that someone's doing a bunch of criminal shit, he's going to have them arrested and executed. You need to give him proof.
So when we have proof on the people, hand it over. That way he can do the potentially unpopular, execution. Got it.
We also need to be careful to make sure we don't implicate the kind of status quo from before this happened. So we gotta be careful about that.
Yeah, because it's been a not secret in this city that almost everyone has been smuggling coffee for quite some time.
Yeah, like, no, we all know that. Like, yeah. we will have to try and restrict the amount of splash damage that occurs. In all honesty, at some point when I'm more important, I really should see about just getting that ban overthrown.
The problem is that came from the king himself.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not going to be trying right now for that.
Mm-hmm.
Herp the deedly derps.
The diddly derpadoo. Does anyone else have updates or things they would like to discuss with the party?
So I saw a bunch of guys coming in with the carriage, and we were supposed to do an inspection on the carriage, but like we didn't do a deep inspection, which I thought was kind of odd, but I didn't really ask questions. Carriages smelled kind of funny, so I didn't bother to go in any deeper.
Smelled funny how?
They didn't smell good.
Okay.
Is there any insignias or anything on the carriage?
No insignias. Correct, Nick?
Yeah, they wouldn't be that small.
Nothing that looked out of place to Terran or weird to Terran or like was consistent between the ones that did that.
What the hell was that?
The heck?
A controller vibrating randomly because it's stupid.
Yeah, I doubt they would be that sloppy, especially if they've got a bunch of their head honchos here overseeing the operation.
Well, if you also have the guard just letting your carriage through without doing any check, you don't have to really care.
To be fair, that is not unusual. That was definitely happening before. It was just happening a lot more now.
Yeah, I mean, that's overall a minor concern. I mean, guards getting paid off is nothing new.
I've never been paid off.
It's a matter of degrees.
Yeah, it's the thing of like one or two things of this happening fine when it is probably coffee being done. When it is now the thing of almost every caravan it's being done for, and they're moving in some harder stuff than coffee, then yeah, that's a little bit of a problem.
True. Taryn, did anyone ever, when you were on guard duty, did anyone ever offer you a shiny gold or silver snack?
They have definitely offered Terran chicken legs.
I mean, I was implying coins.
Yeah.
Yeah, but apparently the criminals are smart enough that they eventually figured out what actually distracts Terran.
I mean, they gave me food. I thought it was nice of them.
They were doing that to curry favor.
Well, why? They could have just been nice to me, and that would have curried favor.
Well,
because they wanted you to let them do things that were illegal.
I didn't let them do anything illegal.
That's what they wanted.
Why would they think I would let them do that? I'm a warrior. I want to be a warrior. Warriors don't do illegal things.
Anyway.
Well, so how do we want to go about doing this? Do we want to try and break in someplace secretly and get evidence? Do we want to try and capture a couple of people and put the thumb screws on them? Do we want to try and trick someone into going, "Hey, I'm a corrupt noble who would like to start bringing this stuff over to the neighboring territory and letting you expand your market? Let's talk."
Considering that we have 3 mages and Terran, I think the busting...
people became very quiet for me, so I'm going to drop chat and rejoin.
I think the stealthier options are probably a better option with this crew, or at least the not Russian swords drawn options.
As loath as I am to say it, I think we probably need to go political here. This is something where we're gonna need resources. We're gonna need nobles. I mean, the bigger problems we also have to deal with. There's also the brigand group, which is less of a concern, at least to me. But yeah, we're gonna need help from nobles to actually make something happen here.
Okay.
Because if we just try to capture a couple people and put them get information from them, more than likely the only people vulnerable are going to be flunkies who don't know enough to matter, and then we're going to be on their radar, even if we killed them after.
Okay, so then some of our biggest things are figuring out. We have people in Sunguard and Order of the Rose. Unfortunately, we have a lot of corruption there, but we can try to bring in some extra hands from outside of the city to come in. We can try and use Kargaz with the establishing some trade to bring things in here. potentially with making it look like we're going to be either giving Freed or Viola the territory, try and get someone else to start sending some guys in for talking, to bring out more outside nobles into the city for a bit. Can send things to home to try and get some stuff sent over as well. We are going to want to try and either outcompete the Church of the Turkey or dig up enough of their sketchiness and proof on there that we start disrupting their base, because unfortunately with them they are very popular and good looking at now, as hey, we're keeping all of you people from starving.
If we can cripple the church, that's also going to mean that their alliance with Malfield is more strained.
So that's probably one of our biggest targets, though we're probably going to need to bring in more resources to make it so we can get them vulnerable and get evidence on them. But we can probably get some help of getting a few not happy with the Turkey nobles to start bringing some attention and help here. And Nick, can I get a letter? Is it possible to get a list of which people probably are unlikely to like the Church of the Turkey, without calling too many goose anarchists into the area?
So here's the problem that you're going to run into. The Church of the Turkey is actually the major church down south, which is where the king is and where the main center of power is in the kingdom as a whole. So almost every noble at very least pays lip service to it.
Fuck.
And
we could frame it as this branch is corrupt.
Yeah, we're definitely going to need to frame it that way.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to need to frame it that way. We're going to need to make it something where we let one of the more higher up bishops or whatever then go, oh no, let me cut out corruption that's going on here, and work with other people that way. But damn, that's going to be annoying.
Well, if we grab someone who's not the head now, but who's a little ambitious, maybe you get them to turn. And they help us out in exchange for taking over.
So
we'll do that, and I can see if I can mess with the Order of the Rose scheduling and the like, so that we can kind of keep the actual corrupt people out of the way.
So I also imagine that the church is pretty popular right now because they're throwing a lot of money around with the nobles.
Yeah, they basically gave a bunch of people zero interest loans in the middle of an economic crisis.
So
yeah.
But there are presumably people who basically they stepped in and displaced people. The people they people they displaced from power, we can probably work with.
Yep.
Yeah, which the unfortunate problem is a lot of the people that they displace from power are people like revenants who aren't politically popular.
I meant I meant the people. I was thinking about this from like the
oh, you mean higher up with who's going to be running banks and the like?
Yeah.
Moneylenders are also never particularly popular, but they do have more political influence, so can go towards that.
Or, you know, yeah, that's they would at the very least be a potential source of resources.
Yeah.
Whether or not they'd be willing to actually expend effort.
So we need to identify the businesses in the area that aren't doing well, and the nobles in the area that aren't particularly doing well. And because of the Turkey and because of the crimes going on, give them a boost.
We can also try to rope in business owners that aren't happy with.
You cut out for me, Dan.
I was saying we can also try to rope in business owners that are unhappy with the current protection money situation.
You cut out for me for the most part, or my internet cut out for a second.
I
Can you
heard him
repeat yours?
just fine, Sean. I think this is you.
Okay, I think it was me. I'm going to drop and rejoin, and then ask for a repeat of what was just said.
Poor Sean.
Sorry about that.
So I was saying we should pull in merchants who are unhappy with the current protection money issues, because they at least within the township they're going to be relatively popular.
Yep.
They are. That wouldn't help you with the church, though.
Well, right, but we
It'll
have
help get
several
public
groups to deal
sentiment
with.
on our side, though.
We need public sentiment on our side, and we need as many things we can use because
Yep.
So
The sooner we make clear that this branch of the church is working with Mulfield, the sooner that we can break the church's power and hamstring Mulfield's operations.
I really wish cameras existed in this time period. I can't really get.
Yeah. And I mean, Christoph, you easily have the streetwise and expertise to know that Mulfield probably doesn't have her name on anything incriminating.
Well, yeah.
No, she's not stupid. She's not. I have no illusions about actually getting her. It's more about crippling the operation itself.
Mm-hmm.
You get all of the people below them and force them to start over. Or force them to be risky enough that they actually have to put their neck out.
Yeah, make it unprofitable. Continue doing business here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And actually, if we can time this with a push into that could actually be a pretty big win.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll definitely need to send a message to boss about this.
I would like to actually keep any criminals from entering Kargaz.
This would. Well, I mean, here's the thing. It's going to happen anyway. You might as well get ones where you know what's going to happen. And it's mostly going to be coffee smuggling anyway.
Yeah, like, I accept the low level of coffee smuggling. I do not want a large number of moving in. I want to I would potentially want to dangle that in front of someone to try and incentivize them to say too much or to make a deal that I then use to prove them guilty, but...
Here's the thing, is that we're probably also going to need some help from the underworld to help fully push Mulfield's group out. So we're going to need something to help convince Boss that it's actually worth putting the resources in. Because right now he doesn't want to.
Vague promise of negotiation when we're done. Because I want to know exactly... Because I do want to know exactly what is going into that city.
Nick, how well do I think it's going to fly with the boss?
He's gonna want something now. It may not need to be all of it, but he's gonna need something now.
We're gonna need at least something concrete to bring to the table for him to be on board.
An offer, a gift, and there's the thing of, related to we know none of the people we're going directly after are dumb enough to put something in writing with their name on it. I also am not dumb enough to put something in writing with my name on it.
You're not that dumb.
I mean, writing isn't the issue. It's more. I can keep things. I know how to write things so that even if someone checks the mail, that's not going to be obvious. But we can.
I can agree that they will be allowed to smuggle in. I can off the books agree, and you can tell them that I will be letting them smuggle in coffee, and we can deal with the fact that Anya might be upset about this being moving in on her market later.
You mean in the Kargaz?
Yeah.
I mean, the usual phrase there is bringing in luxuries from down south.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and that's how we'll phrase it. But yeah, it's a case where, I mean, here's the thing. Is there's nothing saying, like, here's the thing with criminal organizations. Not all of the operations are illegitimate. Like, if there ends up being a legal coffee trade in Kargaz, they're perfectly fine with going legit. as long as it's still
Yeah.
profitable.
A good point. Irving actually manages several very successful warehouses. He's also a coffee smuggler.
Yeah, we will bring in and getting them rights for bringing in exotic goods from down south into Kargat.
That's the type of thing that the boss would actually bite on.
Yeah.
I mean,
think-
also if they actually have anything in the legal arms trade, then that is something of, it is a border territory we're going to need to be making some deals about.
So, okay.
And
Yeah,
those are also generally pretty large money movers.
Yeah. So, okay, I think that'll be enough to at least get him on board.
All right. It sounds like you have at least half a plan.
Yeah.
That's more than normal. That's more than normal considering that we're missing the 2 adults in the party.
It's true.
You're not wrong.
Yeah.
And the rest of the party is basically a group of meddling teens, where meddling in this case means the actual criminals, not the Scooby-Doo gang.
Yeah.
Yes, but no.
So, I think the main question is, what aspect do you want to hit first? Because this is all going to take a while.
I mean, I think we need to get boss on board immediately. We're probably pursue the political angle first, because that's going to be the most subtle.
Yeah. Yep. Going to need to be doing that first, and trying to also do and also trying to identify who in the area would want to be making the power play and put one of their bosses out to dry.
I mean, so getting the boss on board, the biggest challenge you guys have with that is the fact that he's just far away. Like, that one is going to be, you're going to send a letter and it'll take a bit of time for it to actually reach him.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is we can start the political stuff without him. That's not the part that we need manpower for.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, you can send the letter out. I'd just be... Christoph just needs to, roll probably his job skill reasonably. For, I'm going to write a letter, and you can bring luxuries into Kargaz is a thing there.
Pass by 4.
Pass by 4 is Christoph knows what to write for this.
Okay.
Sean, the answer to the question is propaganda or architecture. You can also roll administration -2 for alright, if I look at the books for big, insanely expensive things that employ a lot of people, what do those say that happen?
Okay, so let's see. I don't currently have propaganda because I have so many social skills, but propaganda putting 2 points in it at getting a 12 is probably better than the -2 on administration, which is at 13.
Reasonable.
So let's go to that. I'm assuming status, rank, etc., charisma, are they going to apply or not apply?
Not really. This is really your knowledge. This is what can I do to do this, which is a pure knowledge check, basically.
Well, time to see me now roll an 18. Failed by 2.
Yeah, Aiden's got nothing in regards to what would actually work.
Okay, then I would probably just be doing the political angle of trying to find people to actually lean on.
Alright, so what is your goal for leaning on people in particular for what skill to roll?
So what trying to identify is people that are basically either looking to revert back to the previous status quo or looking to upset the status quo just enough that they get on top. Like the person who is an assistant to the bishop that really wants the bishop's job.
Okay. Politics.
There's no chance that I can use the crit on politics from earlier for this, is there?
No.
Yeah. I'm also going to fail this probably because this is also against 12. Assuming status, rank, etc. don't apply.
Mm-hmm.
I have a lot of skills at 12. Okay, so that's passed by 3.
You got this, you got this.
Alright. So, people who would be upset with the current status quo. And here's the problem. I'm going to give these to you in the list of probably order of being upset, not necessarily order of usefulness with being upset.
Okay.
Because those are very different things.
Yes.
Okay.
So, most upset and easily in there is the Risen. Like, the Church of the Turkey does not like them. They're getting pushed out of their jobs and their homes. It's usually not, like, direct problems. It's a lot of shunning and people being suggested to, employ humans instead. The problem is...
I have a dumb idea on how to solve this, but we'll get to it later.
The problem is they have very little political power. Or, well, power in general that isn't the ability to enact violence on people.
I have some ideas, but we'll get to that in a second.
Yep. Next one, and this is probably the one that you have the best chance to actually get power from. So, like, as an example, you have the Earth Movers Union, who has been in conflict with the Church for a while. The Metal Workers Union also is unhappy with the fact that the Church is basically giving out loans for nothing. Because the mages who do metal work and, like, are making sure currency isn't being counterfeited also handle things like loans. And they're seeing some problems. The issue is they can't really say, please stop doing charity.
Yeah, that's a bad look.
Yeah. So they're basically stuck between a rock and a hard place on trying to get their influence back.
I have less good ideas for how to deal with it, utilize this one, but we'll get to it at the end.
I mean, there's always a variety of nobles who want more power and influence, who, for themselves, who can be convinced to do bad things to people they think are threatening their influence, and you actually have a list of a good number of them right now.
Oh yeah, from the previous leans.
Yes. Like, you basically go in and go like, oh right, a lot of these people would totally do bad things to increase their power and influence because they've been doing bad things to increase their power and influence.
Yeah.
Which is like...
I have some better ideas on how to utilize those ones.
And yeah, the big problem there is there's a bunch of people who have been like minorly bad actors who, if you empower, will totally help you kick out people who they think are threatening them. But then there's a bunch of people who have been minorly bad actors who have more power.
I have a dumb plan for how to use them without hoping it backfired too much in our face.
There's trying to find a way to actually empower the Church of the Goose. The issue is they are approximately in the same state the Risen are. Where, like, in many outside of their main city, they are mostly looked at as some weird cult.
They kind of are. Okay, in all honesty, the biggest use for that is just to get enough people talking about Sir Eirik, and
you could run off of some of his reputation there, assuming he's willing to
that's
go
basically use his reputation there as much as possible to boost them and get them helping.
And I'm gonna send you the last one privately because it's a thing your character would figure out that I should not state publicly.
Okay. I will put these ones down, and I will put some of my ideas.
And that's the last one, Sean.
Okay, I'm typing up my dumb ideas for some of the other stuff for us. Oh yeah, that is hilarious and an option, and I will probably see if I can use that as last resort of, hey, do you mind being in the area? So my first thing for the Risen is that we can try to boost them politically by just trying to do various propaganda plays or poetry or whatever to make them seem better, get more people involved in jobs that they're working alongside Risen instead of, hey, the Risen are working this job, one is doing other. See if can create a fake Romeo and Juliet story or use a love potion, aka whiskey, to create one.
So the biggest problem the Risen have, and Victor can actually easily give you this, is they actually have very few legal rights.
Oh.
Yeah, which is why the thing of, like, they have very few legal rights, so we need to make people willing to and wanting to actually give them legal rights, which is why I'm like, just propaganda and try to have, like, a very big everyone likes this romance.
Mm-hmm.
So you're saying
metal workers.
So you're basically saying find a basically celebrity couple.
Yes.
Risen, and then use the injustice of all of the horrible things that are happening to them because they can't get married, and then use that. I mean, it's a viable strategy. It's just.
Doesn't that fall under necrophilia?
Yes.
No.
Well, sort of not, but.
So, not if they both are.
Yeah.
But if it's a Romeo and Juliet story, wouldn't one need to be risen and the other not be?
No, you just finish play and then they both are.
I see what you did there.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, no. Yeah, that could work as well, but we'll need to figure that out. That's more or less dealing with the direct situation and helping push public opinion, and that is the best way of what I can think of in Aiden mind to do that. Metal Workers Union, basically, if can get them involved in some bigger public works project or whatever that can help them out. If we can get them to help showcase a situation of where one of the people we don't like just handed over a bunch of counterfeits and have them be the heroes of that, that would be a good way of working it. For the always group of corrupt nobles, while there's plenty of options that we could give them, we could. So, on paper, when you don't go into the city, and you are just looking at all the rich people going in and out of the city, this city is looking like it's doing really, really well, correct?
Correct.
So, if we start spreading the rumors that it looks like either Freed or Viola would be given, are the ones that are going to be given control of Kargaz, and the reason we are currently in the area is to discuss, negotiate, and do that handoff, then some of those corrupt nobles that were looking at Kargaz instead will want to make them look worse. And while they could do destructive bad things in this territory to make them look worse, getting them to try and upturn the table and show some of the corrupt bad things going on in this territory is probably just as good and better for that, because less likely to backfire on their face. Am I at all in the right train of thought there, or no?
I mean, it could work.
It also could backfire immensely.
Dedicating a bunch more for who winds up getting Kargaz after that.
Yeah. And the Church of the Goose, the best thing I can see for pushing them politically to have more power, and they're going to just be anti-Turkey regardless, is just be bringing up how amazing Eirik is. And get enough people talking about that. So what I think has come out of this is that I need to hire a lot of bards.
Hey, I need to hire bards for reasons.
And 5 is that the bandits and problems in the area might just start, it might start running into problems with other things in the area being a problem for them.
I mean, here's the thing. If we have a military group running in and doing executions of criminals, I mean, it's so convenient. There's a bunch of terrible, horrible bandits right over there. They can go stab.
Yeah, the biggest problem with going and stabbing the bandits is that everyone has probably read this. The problem is that the leader of the bandits is an actually terrifyingly strong mage.
See, now you make me want to think that I can just deal with them.
I mean, it's from the perspective of a conventional military. Like, you have an enemy mage who can raise fortifications wherever she wants to, leading the bandits.
I mean, this is where you hire adventurers and send them to take care of that problem.
I might deal with this problem instead.
I was going to say, we might be those adventurers.
Right.
Well,
yeah.
Yes, and once we get when we have nobles come in and see the issues and they're getting paid for it, we can definitely go deal with that problem.
Yep. One of the big problems, as you guys also now know, one of the lead adventurers who would normally deal with this problem is currently embroiled in a ton of lawsuits.
Are there lawsuits at all related to what we're working on right now?
Not really. It's mostly petty politics. This also brings up the thing of, I did say with Abby, because of who I am and the fact people know me, but I do have this authority, I can just knight her.
I was kind of hinting at that as one of the possible solutions to her problem of getting hassled for walking around in armor even though she's not actually a knight. The other, of course, is to not walk around in armor even though she's not actually a knight.
Like, it's the problem of the thing of just like... It's the problem of just the thing of she doesn't want to do necessarily whatever Aiden would require as payment for this later, and Aiden doesn't actually have a good idea on what he would actually be requesting as payment.
So it would just hang over her head until he comes up with something.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which is one of the big things she does not want.
See, this relies on also how much does she believe Aiden will actually come up with something that isn't just going to be making another noble look like a fool, in which case she would have probably agreed anyways?
It occurs to me, we could solve both these problems in one step. Use her, make one of the people we don't like look like a fool, then knight her. And we have both then we take care of both the incipient favor for knighthood and stop a bunch of the frivolous lawsuits.
Yeah, though the problem is her skill set is definitely more destroy something with a sword, and the majority of the problems are we need to get evidence on people. As I check to see if my other solution to 5 with 5 question mark is something what is going to be required for dealing with the bandits in the area. Because I'm also having a conversation anyways because of the fact that Thief Terran screwed us over that one time.
I'm sorry, what now?
We made an agreement to trade an item. The item then disappeared because Thief Terran took it away, and therefore we had to renegotiate. And then later, when we eventually got stuff out of Thief Terran, we found that item again.
Okay, in my defense, Thief Terror didn't have that item at that time. Kristoff did. He just said he didn't have it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, oh, you know what? That wasn't actually Thief Terran's fault. That was 100% Kristoff's fault.
I mean, it's true.
Yeah, but I believe the person it was found on was Thief Terran.
No, it was found in Kristoff's room.
Along with everything else.
Along with everything else.
So it was very easy to pass it off as, yeah, Thief Terran did it.
Yeah, no.
Is that your kettle or is something else causing all that feedback?
Yeah, Nick, what's going on?
Sorry, I was making tea, and because... 1 minute. I'm gonna turn that off. I was making tea, and then I forgot that I don't have my sound gate on to make that less obnoxious.
Oh, lordy lord.
Also, yes, Dave. Good idea, however.
Which is good idea, but however?
Basically, so there's all these frivolous lawsuits. Can we do anything about them in the courts? And Nick is telling me that, unfortunately, the judicial authority here is Abby's father, and the available escalation point, if we were to, appeal to the next higher jurisdiction, basically would be Aiden's father.
Like, see, the going to the next highest elevation point, like to Aiden's father, isn't necessarily bad because he would go, those are frivolous lawsuits, and throw them out. It just is the fact that we would have to go to that level, and that would upset the nobles in the area, getting him to step in on the area.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, aren't we already going to be pissing off the nobles in the area?
Some of them.
Some of them, but we don't want to piss off all of them. You need to let everyone be the right level of annoyed and angry with each other that things still get done.
It's also the problem of that would very much be painting a giant target on her back.
Yeah. I mean, but to be fair, wouldn't having Aiden knight her put a very similar target on her back?
Not as... So here's the problem. Aiden displaying that much favoritism to someone who is not nobility would be a giant target. Her being knighted by a higher noble over her father's objections would be a target. But it would be a target that has legitimacy, and then she'd have power to fight back against it.
Or maybe we just need Aiden to come up with some acceptable recompense, so that she'll let him knight her.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you guys have a bunch of political problems.
yeah.
If you need Tara to swing a sword at somebody, let me know.
Well, if you want to murder all of the everyone in the Church of the Turkey building, and then we execute you as a murderer, like, that will solve a lot of problems. But I'm pretty sure that's not what you want to do, and the rest of the people here want to do.
Also, would Taryn even die when he's killed?
This is a question.
People die when they are killed, Dave.
The question is what it actually takes to kill Taryn.
Yeah.
It's true.
I don't know, I figure a large enough funeral pyre would probably work. Viking funeral.
Yep.
And if he survives, we just then introduce him as a new Terran. People are already not believing us of like, no, he has a relative that looks very, very similar. So you know what, nah, this is a different Terran. We did execute that one. Like, they're already not believing us, so...
It's true.
Yep, but yeah, you have some problems. You guys have solutions to everything, but there might be other consequences to whatever's going on.
Yeah, because I have one solution to one of the problems that involves way too big of a consequence if it doesn't work.
Yeah, that one kind of has a giant consequence if it doesn't work.
I might have found a way that I could theoretically call the Wild Hunt on our heads if we fail this.
Yeah.
I'm sure that is something that Kristoff, Taryn, and Victor would love to happen.
I mean, I'm not going to complain if someone comes to try to get you.
Look, do you really believe that Aiden would ever set up something where if he's going down, he is not taking down everyone else in the party with him?
No, I don't.
So I guess one of the things is what needs to be rolled for the getting our celebrity couple, play, push, etc.
Okay. The biggest question is finding them. Like,
We sadly don't have time to just train up a Revenant acting troupe.
well, so the biggest celebrity you have is actually Franz Garrett, who was minor nobility, who you guys have a relationship with before he died and became risen, and is a reasonably popular merchant who still comes into town but receives a lot of flack about it. As one side of it. The problem is the other side.
With figuring out someone who would be interested and is well liked enough.
Right.
Can we get a list of the eligible bachelors or bachelorettes in the area?
Who are risen? Not many. Most of them have gotten driven out.
How about the not risen ones that we think we might be able to to play Cupid to and somehow make this work?
I mean, convincing friends to do it in the first place is also a challenge.
Look, maybe though to make this work best, we just have to do a romantic comedy plot where we somehow get them together without them realizing we were the driving force behind this.
The actual answer is Victor probably knows a few people who would consider it, but... Actually, 1 minute. Alright, I rolled lucky. Do we have Dave back?
Not yet.
Not yet. Uh-oh, do we lose? Do we lose?
Okay.
Sorry, things broke up on my end again. The last thing I heard was Victor probably knows, which means we might want to wait for Victor to get back.
Right.
Because I think Dave went to grab food.
We're going to wait for Dave to get back for that, but in the meantime, what other things are you going forward on that we can resolve now?
Is it possible to do any investigation whether any of the with Christoph and his contacts and people, is it possible to find out in advance whether any of the money or things that the Church of the Turkey or the rival gang has that is counterfeit, so we can arrange for a metal workers union person to be on hand during a deal to investigate something and then go, oh no, that was counterfeit. How dare you try to pay this person with counterfeit money?
So here's the thing, when you have money that's actually backed by magic, like, counterfeit money isn't really a thing.
Damn it.
Yeah, so counterfeit goods are probably more common.
Yeah.
Are there any counterfeit goods then that we could try and expose someone of having?
We know where there's a warehouse full of coffee.
Yeah, like...
The problem is when we hit on coffee, we have to hit everyone in town.
Yeah. Actually, Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Give me a streetwise roll.
Let's see. Actually, not as high as I was. Well, failed by 2.
Alright, Dan. I want you to name something for me that is technically illegal in the same way that coffee is, but we're going to establish this is something Jitters deals in that Mooch doesn't.
Okay. I'm gonna get a couple ideas.
The answer is there definitely is something that you can point to for that. It's just based off. I was going for the create a fact roll, which is unfortunately they're mostly dealing with things that are like technically illegal, but a lot of people don't respect the illegality.
Yeah.
Oh, like coffee.
Right.
What I was thinking is like maybe there's like some particular gemstone that's like the church kind of hates it for like whatever weird faith reasons.
Oh no! It's not that they hate it. It's that it's considered holy and only for the church to use, despite being beautiful.
That works. So let's say, I'll say rubies.
Okay.
Let's make completely normal things illegal now.
This is actually kind of how it
This
was.
one isn't illegal, but more politically unfortunate.
Yeah, it's the type of thing where if you're not associated with the church and you have it... I'm just gonna throw this into...
Unfortunately, the church is the ones that we want to hit with the most, but yeah.
Well, that's the thing. Jitters is bringing him in. Actually, that fits perfectly if Jitters has strong ties with the church.
The push for a thing of the reveal of the, hey, the church is letting Jitters do this.
Yep.
So, we can do that.
I think it's technically illegal for people who are not members of the church to have rubies, but most people at least profuse a little bit of belief. So, like, at least within nobility, they can get away with it, but you don't get away with it outside of nobility.
So it's the Church of the Turkey that is exclusive with rubies, or is it the Goose?
Turkey.
Yeah. If I want to try to make some of the more of the tutelars, stricklers for the rules, members of the Order of the Rose active in the town for a time period, the ones that are just going to be annoying and disruptive, and no one is going to like.
So, Sean, remember one of your disadvantages.
Right, the fact that my boss hates me because that's who he is.
Yes.
I am going to send him an invitation to have dinner in town with whoever he wants to bring it with in a way where he politically can't say no.
I mean, it's very easy for you to do that. What is the goal of this?
Moreover, to have a disruptive presence in the area that's probably going to be affecting a lot of the negative, a lot of the trade. So it kind of is just a disruptive action, and also to try and have some non-corrupt people in town for when other things go on, of just like, they can be there, and they can be the thing of like, they have no ties to anyone in town. That is blatantly wrong. They're not going to accept the, hey, everyone is looking the other way on this. So if we bring them in, and then have the accidentally run into the other criminal group and or Church of the Turkey officials doing something bad,
okay,
can suddenly go, oh no, here, you guys continue to make politically by the books decisions that no one particularly likes, but are beneficial to us in this event.
All right. Sean, please roll Savoy Fair to actually get him to accept this.
This isn't going to work, but okay, I'm assuming charisma, status, and rank don't apply here.
Rank would apply negatively. He's higher ranked than you.
Yep, even if... So just, should I be rolling against it by base, or do I actually take a penalty? I do have artificially inflated rank.
You have a bunch of things, but I think he knows all of your disadvantages that give you a penalty, so you're just rolling at base.
Okay. I believe that is a pass by 0.
Alright. So Ada manages to give him an invite that he technically cannot refuse. But it's very much an invite that he technically cannot refuse, and not one that there is even a remote justification that he's happy to accept.
Look, you think he would be a little bit more happy to pretend to spend time with me, considering he's on the list of people to promote to managing a Kargaz? Which is, in all honesty, probably the entire reason he's saying yes in the
That is
first place.
probably actually the entire reason he's saying yes is you bringing that up to him.
Yep, so let's try to arrange everything else for the couple of weeks it's going to take him of travel to get here, because
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he's far more centrally located.
Yes, he is quite far down south. Well, more far down south. And more importantly, it has to actually arrange things to be gone for a week and a half.
Yep. Get a entourage of people that he trusts and are in no way going to be able to be turned to Aiden offering them money or other things to work against him.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Alright, so we know at least one thing that's happening next session now.
Dave, since you were gone, there was the discussion of how Victor might know any important any well-liked risen in the area, and anyone that is popular and well-liked enough and might be willing to be in a relationship with a risen.
I have not created any NPCs of that sort thus far. I'm happy to make a roll to see whether I know anybody.
I actually made the luck roll, Dave, and the answer is Victor does know someone, so we will have to figure out who that is, but the Risen propaganda campaign is going to take more than just a week to go off.
Well, we're going to work it for as long as possible, and I believe we still have Lord Alexander's corpse in the "hey, this will become a Risen later" box. Or did we get rid of that?
I don't believe you ever specified what you did besides probably burying him properly. Which means that he is technically in the will likely become a Risen later box, but...
Yeah. But it's still a whiles away off on that. I think it's like 10 years still before we can expect it to happen.
3 years before it could happen if he hits the earliest case that someone has been noted as rising.
And we don't really have ways of speeding that up.
No. Well, there are people who have theories, but guess what? What's spooky, scary dark magic that's also very illegal?
Yeah. And in no way something that I could even possibly learn either.
Definitely.
Like, we know Aiden is never going to learn evil, spooky, dark magic because he by mechanics can't.
Yep.
I am the only mage we know is never going to go down the dark arts.
Yep.
Most trustworthy. Are there also, what would we need to roll to find playwrights and poets and get them into the area?
Probably carousing on Aiden's part. That actually sounds like a grouping of people who Aiden knows regularly. It's a matter of finding funding for them to do this.
Yeah, that's the problem of my pocket cash has been going down because I keep funding villages.
It's also the thing of, like, your funding cash is your cash is basically there, mechanically from an out-of-character perspective, for Aiden never cares about his living expenses or hosting parties. Employing someone for months is a different story.
Yep, which is why anytime I've had to spend money in a mechanically significant way, I've spent it on the money the party has earned, which is why instead of getting ludicrously nice equipment, Aiden still just has his starting equipment.
Yep.
But I can roll the carousing at the very least to try and see if I can get anything.
Yep.
That is passed by 2 plus whatever charisma 3, status 2, rank 3, and anything else gives me.
That gets you have people. You still need to find a way to pay them, but you have people.
Okay, can work on it. Can also theoretically start creating actual healing potions to sell and stuff like that, because those are actually good money, along with some of the other stuff that Aiden could theoretically brew.
Those are mostly job roles. As stated, trying to craft items and then sell them is a job role, not a crafting role.
Okay, so there's some job role stuff that Aiden can do to try and help get the money necessary, but it is probably also going to be a thing of some other people might want to chip in for helping.
Mm-hmm. Can someone make notes in tactics for things?
Okay.
Because right now what you're at is we have a nebulously defined couple that can be the source of this for the resume and playwrights, but you need money for them. In a couple of weeks' time, Aiden's Knight Superior is going to show up with a small entourage to have dinner and discuss things, and that's going to help with the immediate crime problem. But he's not going to stick around long term.
Yeah, but we need him to be just a big stick for a big hammer we swing once and rattles the area, gets one of the bigger problems dealt with in a way that they're not going to be able to get out of, and then we clean up after.
Mm-hmm. What else do you all want to do is the question. That was certainly a noise, Dave.
Yeah, that was an I don't have any more ideas noise. Is there anything coming to mind? And the answer was no.
Yep. It's the sort of thing of like, there are definitely resources you could tap into. A bunch of them have problems, and some of the strongest ones need you to actually get proof that people are being criminal somehow.
Yeah, so Aiden having a vague relationship from the various interactions with the bandit leader is the thing of can theoretically find stuff to bribe her with to go somewhere else. The problem with that is this is pushing a problem further down the road, and the things of trying to turn her against the other criminals in the area basically relies on the figuring out a way where getting a large group of bandits to descend on a bishop actually benefits us.
Oh, it's not just a bishop.
Other than being hilarious.
Getting her to descend on, as an example, Jitters' operation is also an option.
Oh, so
She's
get them to attack.
To do that.
Yeah, she's more likely to go after the bishop because it's more hilarious, because the reason she and Aiden get along is because they're both sociopaths.
No arguments from Taryn.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying is you need to hit them with your political sword.
So those are the notes thus far. Right? Is there any other plans that we have? I already failed the propaganda role, so I don't think I can come up with a good, large public works project that could self-read on, that then relies on, that we could then hire a bunch of revenants and metal workers dudes to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This looks pretty comprehensive.
The problem is that we don't have this still doesn't hit the biggest things very well.
Yeah, you're very much dancing around the sidelines and trying to soft influence your way through the problems going on.
Yeah, and we need to choose something that is a big stick to swing at one of the people. Which could be, which I think we're trying to avoid the let's assassinate the problem.
Yeah, because one, it's probably going to fail, and two, even if it doesn't, it's going to put a massive target on our backs, and it will probably backfire long term.
I can say you guys actually have a very good track record of assassination and have friends who are also good at combat.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's a difference between... The thing is, though, usually when we assassinate someone, they're not, like, a major part of a larger criminal network.
Yes.
Especially when... Because here's the big thing, is that there's a decent chance that some of the lieutenants, because I know Mulfield knows who I am. I'm sure at least some of the lieutenants would know who I am. So if we even let one of them know that other people, that anyone in our group is involved, at the very least they can probably catch that I'm involved because of known associates, and that can have a lot of backlash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it might be possible to get get the bandit horde in the area to go against the other gain, which if we can somehow time an attack with that at the point we're trying to assassinate them, we can probably then get a lot of mop up of the problems.
Yeah, I mean, if we can assassinate Mulfield in the chaos, that works a lot better.
So if we can determine a point where Mulfield and her cronies are going to be going out of town for a reason, and then do a thing, and then basically arrange for a large horde to be attacking them, and move in and assassinate during that time period.
Yeah, I mean, the nice thing with that is that you make it look messy, and then it just looks like the bandits did it.
So if we can figure out
a mage, then it's not suspicious that there's a lot of magic.
So, okay, so we could go and bring in Abby for that as well. So if we can preferably find a point where they're going to be out of town, traveling in a large enough group of numbers that we can also try to get bandit to break out, and therefore we have plausible there was chaos. And just go for a clusterfuck fight. Or to get her to think that she can go after the bandits in the area to get good shit, all of the goods that they have.
Yeah.
The challenge there is getting Mulfield out of town. The reason why I say this is, if you look at what she is legally here for, she is in fact legally here for, like, opening up a new front of business to handle imports of mostly textiles from the south.
Okay, so yeah, the exotic goods from the south, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Is there any type of, like, Maltese Falcon-esque steel of the thing of just like, this is valuable enough that she would go in with force to retrieve it? Is that crown that we had, that we have brought, that is going to be getting handed off to the bandits when we meet with them because I made a deal and therefore I have to honor it, going to be something that is, like, big enough or important enough that would be, yep, need to get it, need to risk getting it?
But
or is there something else that could become up? What?
I doubt she would go personally.
Yeah.
If it's important enough, maybe. Or if it's important enough, she could send a large number of her group in, and then we can just assassinate her in town when she has less eyes on her. Because if she has to send out her biggest muscle to go get a thing, that means her biggest muscle is not next to her.
So, The things that you would need for her to do that are either magic items in the priceless in the sense that, like, you have gone beyond to the point where someone is going to negotiate how much to pay for this category. Or things that are particularly important to, like, crime or her organization. Like, as an example here, if you could convince Irving to risk something serious of his because he's her main rival here, that she might go for.
We can definitely bring that up.
We could try discussing with Irving about doing a trap for her with that, and giving Irving plausible deniability on what is actually going to be going on.
But the big problem is, you would need him to actually put something out that's valuable.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a risk. Which is going to be a risk and a sell on his hard sell to him. But like, that's stupid. What else would? Is there anything else that anyone we know would have that would qualify?
Okay. In terms of things that go into the priceless category, honestly, it's basically the bandits and Abby are the two who actually have that, or some of the other knights, but there is no way she's going to go out and attack a bunch of knights.
Well, if we know the bandits have it, and one of our thoughts was getting her and the bandits to fight anyways, if we can find something that the bandits have, get her proof that they have somehow without tying directly to us, then have her go fight the bandits.
Now, here's the problem. The bandits technically have some of that in the forms of some of the magic books and such that she stole.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, does Maulfield want that?
Well, seeing as how some of those goods are taken from Earth Movers and other variable and other groups and potentially noble families in the area that would probably pay to get them back. And also the it could be political leverage.
The issue is not what pay to get them back, it's worth the risk versus N years of regular operating profits and power to get them. Because remember, this is not a random group of bandits. This is a group of bandits that has actually been stopping several of the minor knights from dealing with them.
How large of a bounty can the Earth Movers put on someone?
That's one that could work. And boy, oh boy, would there be a large bounty on that particular group of bandits.
Like,
less so now that you've retrieved some things, but like still pretty damn large.
That might be the tack to go with. It also doesn't tie directly back to us easily enough, so...
The issue is, again, where are you going to get the funding? Because as Victor would be able to say, the local branch of the Earth Movers has been struggling because of the other problems.
If we don't expect them to succeed and we have the bounty open for a short period of time and then close it.
That's risky.
You have the politics to know that wouldn't fly.
That's fair. Damn it, having to actually figure out resources to spend.
Mm-hmm. Actually needing resources is hard. And the problem is, it's not just resources, it's resources sufficient that a Mafia sub-boss will bite on them when they're dangled.
I have now the dumbest idea.
What's the dumbest idea, Sean?
How politically important is my character's family again?
Really damn politically important.
So theoretically, if I got taken hostage by the bandits, would that be enough that the people that this mafia group would actually be willing to make the push to both get it and rescue me and get the artifacts in the area?
Technically, yes, there is a bigger problem, though.
What would be the bigger problem?
The Army, the Sun Guard, and the Order of the Rose.
Fuck. Right, we have other people in the area that could act before that.
Also,
we've been spending so much time in the border territories, I forget that there's actual military presence.
Also, that plan sounded like something out of Scooby-Doo.
It's true.
You mean that isn't what all of these plans are?
That is a fair point as well.
Well, that is a fair point. Most of our plans don't involve something where a meddling children reference would actually be justified.
Look, we're not good enough to come up with a heist that works at the leverage level, okay?
Well, no, but I mean, of course not. But if we can at least manage to avoid Scooby-Doo...
I don't know, Scooby-Doo has a pretty good track record.
I find us good when we avoid Pink Panther, which is not a track record we've always been able to succeed at.
Yeah.
However, if we identify ahead of time that a plan is on that level, considering the fact that our execution tends to be worse than our plans...
Yeah, like,
except for setting all those boats on fire, that one went miraculously well.
Because we rolled stupendously fantastically.
You rolled incredibly.
And Nick rolled atrociously.
I'm gonna put it, you rolled very well. You still wound up sunk and almost drowned.
These are points.
Yeah.
So the big thing is, for this, dealing with the crime problem is either going to rely on some level of crime or some level of political payoff to try and deal with it, is one of the big things.
Which means that we could basically use the giant golden carrot we could dangle in front of someone's face of, hey, you get the Kargaz territory, congratulations. Though I'm not sure we want to decide that we're going to be using that when two of the party members are not here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that's the problem, is you're up against a pretty competently run criminal organization that mostly lives in the darker side of the gray area of the law, but it's still the gray area.
And it is the thing of, like, we've been allowing things before because they're in the light gray area, and now they are going in the dark gray area.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't necessarily want to kill everything in the light gray area, because guess what? That it covers at least two party members.
The two that are, well, one that's here, one that is not here.
Yep.
I'd say the two that are not here, because I'm pretty sure Eirik has his coffee addiction, and I'm pretty sure Anya has been involved in coffee smuggling.
I'm gonna say
out of character.
It involves 3 party members at least. But it's like, there is going to be either some level of risk or some level of sacrifice to dealing with the crime issue in particular. And as I think it was you stated, Sean, that there's actually a giant problem that the coffee issue has made a lot of people way more cool with crime.
Oh yeah, because if you're going to be taking bribes to let something go through because it's coffee, you're now more willing to take bribes to let some not coffee things go through, because you already let the coffee through, you already have the working relationship for this guy, and like if you don't let it through and they get arrested, then they are probably going to bring up the fact of you let coffee through X times, and suddenly now you're in trouble and you're allowing the harder drugs or the guns or the whatever else through. Because since you let the coffee through, you're still going to lose your job if you then decide, hey, no, that's too far.
Right.
Also, since everyone has their friendly neighborhood drug dealer, it's the thing of like, oh yeah, what is the cop in the area? The guy who is making things really annoying for me. What is the criminal empire? The people that give me what I need to wake up in the morning that has no real negative effects and is just illegal because of dumb politics.
That's what they want you to think. It actually has a lot of adverse effects on you, says Taryn.
The king agrees with you. He did a study and found that coffee makes you more likely to become risen, and don't you know that that's a sin according to the Church of the Turkey?
Also, I believe it does have pretty significant negative effects on Terran. Only Terran.
So here's a question.
Are we saying that the king is Taryn?
I will burn the fucking castle to the ground.
You can try. He has an army of not Tarans.
But we have a Hulk. Terran.
Do you actually have a Hulk, Dan?
I mean, we have Terran. It's kind of like a Hulk. It's about as right.
You definitely killed the Terran that is kind of like a Hulk.
Fair enough.
I'm pretty sure he was closer to the Abomination.
But actual question. So if we go more of the crime to break crime route, are there any, knowing how Jitters and his people tend to operate, are there any kind of weak points that I know of that direct action could exploit?
Oh, well, like, that's the thing is, you know that, like, 2 levels down from Mallfield, people are going to have their names and, like, shit in their basement or in their warehouses that is very illegal.
Okay.
The issue is basically hitting the top of the pyramid is really hard, and you're going to have to burn some level of political capital, personal sacrifice, or power to do so.
Right. But if we undercut the lower levels enough and we hit them hard, that could put her in a corner.
Right.
And that would actually be something where if we can give some anonymous tips about these warehouses, that's something that we can use that group of soldiers for.
So here's the problem. This is the issue with most of the guards are outright ignoring a lot of the smuggling.
Right, but we have that group coming in a couple of weeks, right?
This is one of those complicated things where, like, the people who are honorable and lawful are not going to bring the hammer down with anonymous tips.
Yep. That's the problem there of where we are going to need to have them a little bit more concrete evidence when they show up.
Yeah.
I mean, we can arrange for some concrete evidence, especially if we know where the warehouses are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something where, and here's the thing, like, even if you've got people who are turning a blind eye, all they have to do is fall in line once the bad stuff gets exposed, and they don't really get any repercussions.
Right. And that's where the question of where is the personal risk or political cap or, like, other things that you guys burn to get that coming in.
Like,
Right,
I am perfectly fine with us doing the, hey, we now are appointing someone actually in charge of the territory, but we really need the full party agreement on that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like we do need the rest of the party to actually finalize that.
Because there are not a lot of one person has these resources. There are some one person has these resources, but some of them are also things that are not necessarily directly available or useful in this situation. Because some of them are far away, and there's a lot of joint resources that need to do.
Yeah, and if we... Yeah, I mean, the easiest way to get evidence is just to, like, expose one of the warehouses in such a way that, like, the authorities have to at least crack down on that one, and then there's actually a concrete case on the books for when the soldiers come.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, you are a group of skilled individuals, but...
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's the question: is we would go like, I'm just not sure how we'd actually go about exposing the warehouse in a way that gets the police involved.
I think the big answer. So the quote easy answer there is you have to pull off a heist without getting caught.
We're bad at that.
Oh, I have the dumbest idea. If when we're out with the actual lawful people, if suddenly that building catches fire, and of course Aiden runs over to help because he actually is very good at anti-fire, and then suddenly with the, hey, you guys run in because we need to make sure that there are no civilians in danger.
That requires pulling off at least half the heist of confirming where the bad things are.
Yeah, so we do that half, like, we need to get done, and we can try to get done successfully, and if we don't succeed at it, then we don't go through with plan B, but I'm pretty sure what we've learned is we're very good at setting things on fire and putting things off fire.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
and that's the thing. Like, I mean, I'll be the one doing most of that intelligence gathering, at least on the.
so if we
side.
get that intelligence, we can work on that at the very least.
I'd say the one thing that you actually know is, Christoph, you are the person they're most looking out for.
True.
Like, you are
So who else is good at stealth?
But you are also the person they're actively trying to watch.
The problem is the only other person who's good at stealth is terrible at intelligence gathering.
Yep.
Man.
This is an example of a question of, like, when do you guys want to bring potential allies you have into play?
Can we get a list of all of our potential allies, or can you send us individually what our potential allies to bring into play here is? Because the potential allies I can think of to bring into play are either way too far away, or they are a large warhammer when we want to, like, when we want to just use, like, a small wrench.
All right. And someone else take notes for this because I'm going to be talking a bunch.
Oh, we could bring in. I wonder if we can bring in Thief Terran.
So here's the thing: do you know how to contact Thief Terran?
Does Abby know? Because weren't they working together for a while?
That's a great question. That would, in fact, rely on bringing her in, too, though.
Yeah, like, even if we can't we're going to bring her in when we have something that we need stabbed.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we might as well let her know of, like, hey, we need Thief Terran for a job if you have any way of contacting him.
Right. And she would promptly ask you, what job is it?
I mean, we can tell her the truth that we're trying to uproot crime and corruption in a city, but we need to be subtle, at least early on.
Like, we are not at the... Sadly, we are not at the we just murder everyone, we're opposed against one.
Yeah, we tell her that we need to get information so that we can reasonably bring authorities in on this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then maybe we can just murder the problem.
Yeah, because Thief Terran is easily the best resource who's not unknown quantity to them.
Yep, and the question she would have, particularly looking at Aiden and Kristoff with a meaningful look at Kristoff here, it's like, alright, he's currently handling other things I need to have done while I'm dealing with legal problems. With the obvious implication of, what is in it for her to do this? What is in it for her to do this?
Helping make legal problems... Helping with dealing with the legal problems, because I'm pretty sure some of the party is much better at making those problems disappear than she is. Also, what do you currently need Thief Terran for? Because we might be able to just solve it as well.
I love how he still is just Thief Terran.
You guys none of you have taken different names, okay?
No, it's beautiful.
Yeah, also, if we just keep calling him Terran, it's gonna get fucking confusing.
Yeah.
And he's not quite enough of your opposite that we will start calling him Narot.
Oh, Narat is a special person. I'm saving him for later.
Yeah, Narad is probably the social manipulation Terran.
Probably, yeah.
Managed to invest in int somehow.
God, I don't
The
like
one Terran that invested in int and therefore has superhuman intelligence.
The one Terran who was allowed to buy his int up to 20 and could cast magic.
Alright, her rough answer is trying to find more things that I want. Looking at Victor's like, I can't exactly leave town right now to go deal with that. Jaden, what sort of help are you offering? That's the thing is, he actually wants some sort of definitive help for this before calling him back in.
Being a political problem to other people that are being a political problem to you, trying to ease over politics by actually playing nice instead of just being jerks to them, the thing of the fact that I am the only other person fluent in whatever the dead language is, that you know.
I'm guessing Thief Terrans at the ruins.
Which I'm pretty sure, which means that I could theoretically go and join Thief Terran or whatever, or whoever at the ruins and actually read things to know what is going on.
Just nicer.
She basically says, like, yeah, the big problems are, A, the ability to actually fight against this, and B, getting stuff out of there. Do either of them and he's yours for however many days this takes.
How long would it take us to get to the ruin and then get the stuff out of there?
I mean, it's like a reasonable distance in the Badlands, but not that bad, like 3 or 4 days travel. Less than a third of how far you just came back.
So would we be able to reasonably get there and get back before
the problem you're dealing with is something that you're going to be dealing with on the order of weeks to months.
Okay, so we could leave, do that, come back, and it's not going to have been majorly disrupting and destroying all of our plans.
No. Well, the only issue would be having to push back your dinner slightly, but that would be pushing it back a game session, basically, and saying, here's when I'm going to be back in town, I'm dealing with a problem. Which he would get via letter while he's trying to plan when his trip happens.
Like, I guess I'm fine with that unless people have other ideas. Because I'm assuming that I cannot just politics roll to make some of this go away.
It is not a politics roll thing, it is an Aiden actually spending his, like, it's not a stat, but his political capital to make this go away.
What else could I be spending political capital on? Because I don't have, like, a political capital amount, and I forget how this stuff works.
It's mostly Aiden spending his reputation, and also, like, his political capital for figuring out who's going to inherit Kargaz. Is one of the other things.
So it could be affecting that again, basically.
Right.
Which is a decision that, while Aiden theoretically could make unilaterally without the rest of the party, as a player, I am not going to be making that decision unilaterally without the rest of the party.
It's also a question of how hard is that decision to go the way you guys want it to go, and that depends on, like, the rough amount of how much do you guys have to throw influence at over that decision, and how bad is the fallout from it.
Yeah, which is the one thing would be saving, because we might be choosing one of the less popular options, because the less popular options are less corrupt nobles, and therefore our preferred choices there. Thoughts on rest of party on whether or not we want to do the detour to do a side quest?
I mean, Victor is generally down for exploring some magical ruins. However, he doesn't have a great sense of whether we can afford the delay.
Out of character, you can afford... I'm going to say you can afford 2 delays before problems hit another threshold of big issue.
Okay. This would get us the resource we need.
This will get a resource that we need, and there's a chance we will run into other stuff in the ruin, because I'm pretty sure there's one specific shiny thing that Abby wants, and there are theoretically other shiny things in the area that could be useful.
No, she is giving you a list of 3 things that she wants from this one. And it's basically, here are 3 things she wants. She's going to tell you outright. Thief Terran knows, or rather, the other Terran knows what he's looking for me. He's going to want some stuff too. He knows those are mine, and there's a certain amount of payment in there for him for just finding it. And you guys are free to take whatever else you want beyond that. I really don't care about the rest of it.
Okay. What area of the Badlands is this as well?
Are we on the map right now?
We are.
Yes, we're on the map. We haven't gone away from the map. We have not gone into a fight or gone into like a more close-in thing than the map this session. We've just been talking and going, man, wouldn't it be great if we had the two other members of the party here to be competent and know what they're doing and be able to go, no, that's a stupid idea?
So I'm going to say it's up towards here.
Is that we have already dealt with an angry group of barbarians and that were upset with us going into ruins?
That's a bit south of the area where you pulled off an assassination and kidnapped 2 children.
Okay, so not where just had to throw a village worth of food at a barbarian army to make it go away.
Yeah, that was further east.
Okay, look, I don't have the money. I don't have the money to give another village's worth of food at a barbarian army to make it go away. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather not have to keep doing that.
Yep.
How close or far away is from wherever the Lich King is?
Oh no, the Lich King's like way over here. If you can see my ping.
He's in the mountains.
So we're probably never dealing with the Lich King.
Yeah, probably not.
Okay. He's a problem for future generations.
Yeah.
Or
the
end game fight when the
reasonably near the area that you sent Terran's family off to.
Wait, isn't that the ones that we had to bribe not to attack the town as well?
Yes.
So isn't that group? Okay.
No, that's the group down here. They're like right at the border of Kargaz.
Okay, so isn't this a different group of people, and going over there is not necessarily going to be blatantly upsetting that group? Because we still don't have a large enough army in Kargaz to deal with this?
I mean, assuming the borders are where they are when you last visited that area, yes. Borders change pretty fast out there.
We did just take out 2 of the bigger armies, though.
You took out a really dangerous group of bandits and trapped a different army on the wrong side of a river from where they wanted to go. That army still exists. It is, in fact, like, right here.
I imagine some of that army is, Ooh, wait, those are ones that have worked with the, Order of the Rose for things before?
No, they hired mercenaries from your area.
Yeah, they hired mercenaries from the area that Eirik theoretically knows.
Yep.
Send a letter to them asking about their current location and whether or not they are open and available for new work. I'm not entirely sure what I want to use them for yet, and I'm not entirely sure how I will pay for them yet. But, like, I'd like to send them a letter to see what their availability is, mostly because I want to see if I get a letter back talking about the fact that a giant plant came over and smashed all their boats.
I mean, you could send a letter to their headquarters here. You could send a letter into the Badlands. It's questionable whether or not anyone will ever receive it.
I will send a letter towards their headquarters, and their headquarters, I'm going to assume, has a way of correctly contacting them. Because we have mages or something for that shit, or falcons. Probably falcons.
Not really. Rather, you have mages for that at the level of major nobles commanding their armies. Some random mercenary outfit is going to take some time, but I will mark down that you have sent a letter to them.
Like, I kind of want to know what options are available, and also technically whether or not it's going to be possible to chew them out of what the fuck were you guys doing over there? You're supposed to be held to a better standard than that.
I mean, Sean, I feel like Aiden knows the answer. The answer is being mercenaries.
Yeah, I know, but like, he can occasionally pretend to be noble and not knowing that. He can pretend that he has the Iric view on the world of how dare these people that worked for us for XYZ years and have done so many good services in supporting the honorable knights go and do mercenary work.
Okay.
Thank you, Dave.
I have no words.
Yeah, all right.
I'm wondering what just got loudly typed.
The message that Aiden has sent people. You'll get a response eventually, but mail is slow. All right. So that is what Abby wants. Other potential allies you have. So you have the actual legitimate authorities here.
Yeah, but they haven't figured out any of this shit on their own.
To be fair, they're looking at it from a top-down model and do not have access to party member, like people who are connected to the criminal underground and willing to tell them the truth.
Yeah, you know what? Fine.
Didn't you just say they wouldn't act without proof?
Oh no, the actual Viscount would not act without proof.
Okay, you know what? Fine. I will tell Viola about it because she's less of a dick than her father. And she actually cares about people in that weird way of the, hey, I'm a noble and I care about my subjects for real.
Her response would closely be, are there really that many criminals here?
Can I do illusionary charts?
Yes.
I am doing illusionary charts and going over the entire, like, the reasons of why corruption has risen in this level area and what the current levels are and who are the most problem players, though why they are probably hard to get out, along with bringing out all of the other stuff like revenants, because I think based off other reads she might not be 100% yay revenants, but she's probably going to be like, shoot, those are people I'm supposed to be protecting.
That this is accurate. She's like, well, we accepted the church's help because we needed it. We very evidently needed it. I understand why Abby and Jonas are as cynical as they are, if this is true.
I'm trying to remember out of character who Jonas was.
Terran's actual buddy in the Sun Guard.
Yeah. Oh, right, the Sun Guard person we could promote. Okay.
Yes. No,
because
not
the
that.
category. Oh no.
No, so Sir Ken is the Sun Guard person you could promote because he was one of Lord Alexander's knights. Jonas is another of Lord Fistatrix's bastards who joined his guard.
Yeah.
Right.
And
This guy needs to learn about protection.
He's the one who told me that Abby was a delicate flower who needed protecting and sent me off after you guys in the ruins that session where I was late.
Yes. If anyone asks about his reputation, it's that he likes messing with people, and this is not a term they'd use in universe, but is a troll.
Yep. Okay. Right. Yep. Now remembering who this is. I'm really tempted to send, like, if I could figure out how to give this lord anonymously the, hey, here are the herbalism drugs that are basically like the morning after pill, protection, etc.
So, Sean, here's the problem. You could easily talk about this. He knows what they are. The problem is... A 2% failure rate is a 2% failure rate, and if you do things a sufficient number of times, it hits you.
Like, I'm not going to say that, like... I'm going to say that I'm surprised that he was even doing anything that had a 2% failure rate, and that's what's hitting him. But I'm also going to say the thing of just, like, you know... I was not necessarily going to be doing this as the, hey, I think you need to know this, let me have the safe sex talk with you. It was the, this is going to be being done as a troll. Which is why it is very important to send anonymously.
Okay, you'd send it anonymously, and if you heard it back, like, Aiden would actually know that when this guy was younger, his reputation in that regard was worse than Aiden's.
That's impressive. Like, that... You know... Yeah, I just have to admit that is very impressive because, you know... I think everyone can agree that Aiden has a pretty damn bad one.
It's not in regards to everything. He was actually much more competent an administrator throughout his entire, like, career, but the amount of parties he randomly vanished from his own party for, and then came back and then vanished with someone else during.
Okay. I would like to also say hey, I have had to put 5 points into administration as well due to the fact of the shenanigans of having to actually manage a territory, which I guess are anti-shenanigans rather than real shenanigans.
Yeah, that is definite. That is, like, by definition, the anti-shenanigans.
I think that is the main point I was saying, is, like, he had to put his points into that earlier than Aiden did.
Gotcha.
But, yeah, there's a reason why he actually has problems with having numerous bastards who he had before he had a legitimate heir. Because he didn't learn from the first time. But, you have a letter going out to a group of mercenaries. You will, honestly, probably receive a response by the end of next session. Assuming
I'm really surprised by that.
Going and doing Abby's quest and not, like, sitting around waiting for something else. I don't know what next session will be yet.
Yeah. So, okay. Adding to the notes in tactics.
So, Viola is of the opinion that, like, she is way more willing to bend how much evidence is needed to send someone to go investigate because she trusts Aiden.
A horrible decision, but okay.
Mm-hmm.
There is actually kind of a reason that Abby said stay away from her sister.
Yeah.
She's not a great judge of character.
She's not.
Though I will admit the majority of people that Aiden has manipulated this game has been for positive reasons that benefited society as a whole, so...
Mm-hmm. Other potential allies for Team Skullduggery. As stated, there are the bandits who you have some sort of a positive relationship with. The biggest challenge is they will actively say what's in it for them and refuse a large number of things.
They also are a smashy group of people, aren't they?
Cha.
So, on average, yes. I'm going to point out their leader actively stole restricted texts from her guild.
Yeah, fair.
Yeah.
Like,
She stole books that, technically speaking, are probably illegal, but the Earthmovers had.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure I've returned those by now, right?
Oh, you have, and they're very happy they're returned and they are now under lock and key again.
Good.
like, so do we think that she would also be a good resource to try and get the what areas have bad things in them, what evidence can we gather on people for, and what is party as a whole willing to offer for her, which may include things like pardon from the Earthmovers?
Do we have the authority to do that?
Aiden technically has the authority to do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Them technicalities, brah.
It's one of those things where he technically has the authority. It's a question of how much of this comes back to bite him, the people around him, or the person who he pardoned in the ass for.
Like, remember, Aiden has gotten Terran away. It had made the mistake in Session 0 of getting Terran away free of massive assault charges. That he would have gone to jail for like decades.
I'm pretty that not really. Terran probably would have lost a hand or his life.
The hand would have grown back. So never mind, that wasn't that big of a thing.
You didn't know it at the time, though. It sounds like a bunch of people do not, in fact, want to give the bandits things.
Let me message you something of another thing.
This is
Don't
probably
say,
a
Nick.
good idea.
Yeah. Not giving the bandits things sounds like an excellent plan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that seems like it would backfire.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if we're trying to get legitimate authorities involved in this.
Well, here's the problem. You're trying to get evidence to make legitimate authorities get involved in this.
Right.
Like, I'm trying to think of things that can hand out that aren't going to be royally fucking us over later, and also removing and also aren't just removing some pretty important things to have as on character for functioning, like the thing of like, okay, let me sell my magic staff equivalent again.
Mm-hmm.
so quiet.
Mm-hmm. That's the big question. Because honestly, most of the allies you've made have either been legitimate authority or you technically made friends and now they are dead.
I mean, what were the expertise of those 2 mages that we have in the other territory? Kargaz? They were not stealthy mages, right?
No, they were training to be war mages.
Yeah, that is the opposite of stealth.
Yeah, they were very much training to be war mages. So... And for the ones who were any good at stealth, you kind of turned them over to barbarians and they are now dead.
Mm-hmm.
Look, we were either sending them to the barbarians or the capital.
What the heck just happened?
Also, I'd say they weren't particularly good at stealth, seeing as how quickly we found them.
I'm guessing Nick knocked something over.
That was not me knocking something over, that was someone else. But here's the thing. They managed to pull it off for about 15 years. Mostly through... They were not necessarily good at stealth, they were good at maintaining plausible deniability.
Useful skill.
But now they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
And they are an incredibly sore spot for Terran.
Yeah, that's the answer I thought, Nick.
Yeah, that person knows how this works, John. Does anyone else have people they might want to try to bring into things?
I am not built for this.
You are not.
In any way, shape, or form. I am not built for
Nope.
this.
No.
Like I can sink some points into something that will make me more useful, but it's really just a waste of points because I am not built for this. And that's not a secret. Everybody in the party knows exactly what I'm built for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not dying and hitting things really hard.
Yeah. Political intrigue, I don't think there's any way I can spend less than 10 points to get myself relevant in that in any way.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what resources I have and I can use because they have not been relevant for 90% of game.
Well, let's take a look in the GURPS book and see if there's anything I can find for under 10 points that Nick might legitimately let me have.
It's like, yes, John, that is an avenue you could go towards, but like...
I need just as much evidence as I need everywhere else.
Okay, no. There are, in fact, easier answers you could have for why in those cases.
Oh, and the latter 2 cases, yes, there are easier answers why.
Yeah, but no. For case number 1, you also need evidence.
Yeah. Why are most of the ones... I either have things of this person is a wild hammer I can swing at something, or I have this person is actually politically power and useful, but they are too law aligned to just go, hey, I need you to help arrest people without evidence.
Mm-hmm. So there's plenty of people who'd be willing to arrest people without evidence. The issue is all of them ask what's in it for them.
Other question about that with potentially calling on resources.
That's one you could definitely ask for. Like, you could request that he send you something like that you know he has. Again, this is sort of the issue of the giant nebulous, like, hurricane of chaos that is, if you put a bounty out on something, who is going to try and grab it?
Yeah, that's the problem. The most recent thing was asking Nick was whether or not would be able to send a letter home to request for something that would work as bait that could theoretically lure out the criminals in the city to go after it. But the problem is the fact that it has to travel this far.
Yeah.
150 miles. And
So, like,
there are various things, people other than just the criminals here, that in order to have something shiny enough that they would go after, it would be shiny enough that people all along the route might go after. And then the chaos of the fact that we don't have just one group of criminals in the town, but we have several, and a bandit horde, and barbarians, and corrupt nobles. Like, one of the best resources we have still is probably the, figure out who we're going to offer the, territory to.
Yep, that is in fact a giant resource you guys have.
I'm still pulling for the give Eirik more work plan, but that's it.
I believe Ricky is pulling for that plan even though Eirik isn't. But, again, it's sort of a question of, like, do you take a personal risk yourselves to try and gather information illegally and then feed it to legitimate authorities? Do you do something, whether it is a risk yourselves or, like, a political cost, to get someone else to do it for you?
See, the thing is, I'm having problems thinking of what is the political cost other than pardoning people that rest of his civilization would probably want me not to pardon, and it's probably a bad idea to pardon because they're just going to do more crimes.
I mean, you basically know for a fact that the bandits are going to go do more crimes.
Even if they get pardoned.
Yeah. Like, you might get a few months to years of, I'm gonna build up more power and then go back to doing crimes. Sorry, I now have to respond.
Also, does this aptly summarize the current problem, which is the if you give a mouse a cookie version of smuggling?
I mean, kind of.
Other people are so quiet. Does anyone else have other dumb ideas to suggest?
Again,
Or should I continue trying to find dumb ideas?
Again, I have literally nothing to contribute to this in character, so I'm kind of keeping my mouth shut.
If you find more evidence of people smuggling, or actually learn what people are getting things brought into town without inspection, like, that is theoretically something that could do that would be useful. Of pay attention to that and mark things down,
Hey,
or
Taryn,
secretly memorize.
Taryn, can you roll IQ -5?
I can, in fact, fail.
Yeah, Taryn is worthless in this regard.
Again, I have built... This is a feature of the character. I can't do this stuff.
What if we point out people that we want you to stalk off into the woods and then tell us what they did in the woods?
Hey, Taryn, can you roll IQ -3?
I'm getting closer to a roll he can make.
No, you're not.
Actually, by 3, I needed a crit just to fail, but not crit. I needed a crit to pass, which was your IQ -5. This I only failed by 6, which means I can crit pass it.
Yeah, the problem is Taryn is a town guard who does not realize what's illegal.
Yeah.
What if we just... Okay, what if we decide we're going to sacrifice Taryn's freedom and convince Taryn that someone has a pet dragon that's mind controlling them?
I'm going to point out, you could just go with plain assassination and accept the consequences.
Yeah, but there's too many people to assassinate.
Not if we do it right, but...
When have we ever done anything right? I'm just saying.
I mean, you're not wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, like, there's a reason that my dumb plan was we get Thief Taryn to help us, and then the two of us combine, like, team up to get intel.
I mean, I still kind of like that idea.
I mean, I have no problem playing Thief Taryn again for half a session.
Yeah,
He's more useful than this Taryn is, given this situation.
And I mean, hell, artifacts out of the deal too, so it's not the worst thing.
Yeah, and Victor's definitely down to go check out some magical ruins.
That sounds like maybe a plan, Sean.
Yeah. I'm starting to worry that some of the various forces that I bribe are just going to become end bosses.
Why are you worried about that?
Yeah.
Because Aiden has bribed a lot of people that are willing to kill for arbitrary reasons to go in the other direction for now.
So I would just like to point out that sounds an awful lot like considering consequences.
That's true.
Mm,
You're not allowed
that's
to...
fair. Some of these might be mostly out of character concerns then.
Yeah, like how much would Taryn, or not Taryn? How much would Aiden really care about dangling the lordship?
Well, dangling a lordship, seeing as how he wants to no longer have to do the paperwork, like the longer it takes us to do it to find someone else to reroll Kargaz, the more Aiden has to be doing paperwork. So like he's perfectly willing to make a deal to someone non-objectionable to hand off this territory to. But as pointed out before, it's not necessarily the evil, it's the incompetency that is the problem.
That's not very nice. I don't think that Sir Eirik is incompetent.
Like, Sir Eirik is fine, but then Sir Eirik, though, giving it to means that Sir Eirik has less time to hang out with the party. So there's the thing there of like,
I'm going to point out, giving it to Sir Eirik and having him spend 3/4 of his time off on adventures would in fact be an improvement over Lord Alexander.
Still, like, Aiden is selfish enough even that to just a quarter of his time being not spent in direct relation to Aiden is a problem, so...
Mm-hmm.
Also, out of character, I do want, like, the thing of, like, Ricky and Laura to have a decision and have a say in this decision.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
so
well,
not going to... But, like, yes, out of character, Aiden very much wants to stop having to spend points in administration and rolling administration. And get very close to actually having to buy off laziness.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't know how much more planning we can do without at least one of the other two.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Nick is so violently and loudly typing things at us.
It's not just you guys. I'm resisting the urge to talk in politics chat in another Discord channel and just saying I will respond to this later.
Fair enough.
Oh.
Yeah, I think it seems like we've wound down on this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, that is an also option, Nick. You are correct, but I'm pretty sure that Aiden is not going to just do a political engagement in order to get this problem solved.
Oh, no, it's just one of those things that I realized that is actually the single, like, biggest prize Aiden can offer in pretty much any scenario.
Because... as people may forget, because he's been hanging out mostly in the border territories, but his family's territory is quite large and politically important and near the capital. What I'm saying is is that Aiden is effectively the character that would be a villainous in one of the villainous Otome game mangas.
Yes.
How many people get what reference I'm mentioning other than Nick? Don't know, but...
I am aware of the existence of Villainous. I know nothing about it, but I know it exists.
I'd say the actual main anime that popularized this is really quite good.
Okay.
Like, legitimately good, even outside of the fact that it's a giant parody of a bunch of dumb isekai stuff.
Yeah, like, and most of these then also are doing them with isekai, so the person that is in the villain role is actually replaced by an actual good person, which Aiden would be just what the original setting would be, because this new isekai trope is basically take the premise of an Otome game, where there's this commoner girl main character, player character that is in the school with all of these very powerful, nobles, important people, magic, for XYZ reasons, and the villainous rival that they have to deal with is a powerful political noble that is a complete jerk, who, though, because they have they're higher in the political power, is going to be like engaged or potentially engaged to the prince and the other people there, and be able to bully without recourse until they get a comeuppance at the end of the game.
So,
And Aiden would be that role of incredibly politically important, but a jerk.
Yeah.
Also, the mention of that particular possible political prize made me realize that there's another possible solution to Abby's problems that she would totally fucking hate.
Yeah, I know. Like,
Ding, ding,
there are a lot
ding.
of options. Like, in all honesty, one of the things that lists that, like, for Who Rules Kargaz, where it lists that both Aiden and Viola and a few of the other options on the lower end of the list is the thing of, like, they might have public support and they might be important enough noble, but they don't have the experience, or this is further from their territory, or what, they don't quite have the nobility to take the territory. If it was a thing of, instead, okay, this is joint marriage between Aiden and whoever, and they're going to roll this territory now, that then would probably jump up most of the people that are on the bottom of the list a notch higher on the list for, like, how easy it is to get people to accept this.
You are, in fact, correct, Sean. But it does sound like we have probably hit a vague ending, because I'm not sure anyone has any better ideas.
Like, do we want to discuss what kind of shenanigans we are going to try to accomplish with creating a power couple?
Honestly, I think we've petered out for this session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the next question is next session half of a heist, or is next session's a dungeon adventure?
It feels like the dungeon adventure is more likely.
I'd say put it in a chat and have everybody, including our 2 not present members, vote.
I think that's reasonable.
Yeah.
Because, like, unfortunately, we are a little stuck right now because we are missing the 2 of them, and they will also have input.
Yeah. Ricky did say that she's not going to be available until December, which is going to be missing one more session, but she can still vote on whether or not we use some of these resources.
That also assumes we manage to find a time during Thanksgiving week.
Yeah, like our next session will be.
Oh, yeah, that's fair.
I believe Ricky is going to be gone for, even if we find a time during Thanksgiving week, the next 2 sessions during that. Otherwise, it will be the next session.
Also, one of the other possible resources that would likely not work and have huge options of backfiring for we could try this is get Aiden alone in the room with one of the people we want to get rid of, and then just see if I can mind whammy them enough that they just agree to things.
Can't they only fail that once per day?
Once they succeed, they can't fail again that day. But I can hit them multiple times as long as they keep failing, but they get bonuses against it. It is opposed will check, but if they have magic resistance, they get a bonus to the roll.
Yep.
So,
it's also a plan that is immensely likely to backfire, and it has a lot of problems associated with it.
So, big questions. Do we get any XP? Because we did fuck all.
Oh, no.
We did fuck all, we just argued for an hour. Or several hours.
You most definitely did not do fuck all this session. Stuff happened this session. And the answer is you get 1 point.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep.
Like, no matter what, you're going to pretty much be getting 1 or 2 points for most sessions.
We get more when we actually accomplish it. or cause such a big disaster that Nick has to go, what the fuck?
Yep.
The answer is clearly I need to go and find one of my siblings who is good at all this political bullshit.
And then we'll murder them on principle.
You didn't murder Thief Taran.
Thief Taran at the first few sessions of Thief Taran seemed like an improvement.
There were only 2 sessions of him.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. It was by halfway through the second session that Thief Taran became not an improvement. It's when you cost us money.
I'm sorry, when did I cost us money?
I mean, healing potions are fucking expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, that. Technically still your fault.
Nope. Disagree. Never. Nothing is ever Aiden's fault.
Mm-hmm.
I know. Oh boy, one more point and I can buy strength up again. Because I don't know what else to fucking put points into. Okay.
Let's see. Do I try to boost how much? Do I try to improve my level of propaganda?
The result of that poll is high enough that even if both Laura and Ricky vote A, we know the result for next session.
True.
All right.
What chat was that in again? How did they?
Tactics.
Tactics.
Taryn, Christoph, and 2 others.
It's all
Well,
4 of
how did
us.
it get to 5?
'Cause Nick
There's
had
4 of us. Oh,
Nick had to put one
Okay.
in there to start off the vote.
yep, that's correct. Okay, yeah, and I just voted for both because I don't care. I'm fine with trying. I'm fine with either doing the standard dungeon or the heist that will inevitably explode in our face, because sometimes the how the fuck do we deal with this when everything falls apart is hilarious and fun.
Yeah. Oh boy, this is gonna be a thing.
Yep.
Well, at least we get to crash and burn together.
Well, we voted
Yeah.
for B, so that's the go-to.
Yep.
That is the dungeon, which I'm pretty sure we can't crash and burn in. We are too good at murder as a group.
Ha,
I
ha,
don't,
ha.
Cool.
We are very good at being murder hobos.
And
You're very good at being murder hobos, and then you get embroiled in politics.
I mean, I'm pretty sure Taran is the most murder hobo-y character I have ever built.
He kinda is.
Like, even
Like,
Crankshaft,
it's a little bit of a problem.
like, even Crankshaft didn't have this levels of wow. And he, and
Yeah.
and he ran people over with armored cars.
No, Izzy, I think the point is he rode around on a motorcycle with an assault rifle in one hand shooting people while he ran over other people on his motorcycle.
Yes, that was how he was
Yeah.
introduced to the party.
Yep, and now we need to figure out how we're dealing and planning around Terran.
Is there a politics equivalent skill that is not IQ based?
No.
No.
I didn't think so.
Yeah. I will probably start coming up with. I will probably think of other ideas down with it in between the 2 weeks, because this is the first session where it has been the thing of, so you guys need to do political intrigue, and I definitely have skills for it. I definitely have a lot of skill points invested in things with it, but I have not had to think about this the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm blanking on ideas, especially ideas that make sense in character. Which is why we end up with things like the create a celebrity power couple and a Romeo and Juliet story.
Mm-hmm.
Do it. do it.
We're already planning on doing that.
There are worse ideas that you guys could have chosen to do.
All right.
I think we're just throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks.
Night, Dave.
Good idea.
Good night, Dave. Have a good Thanksgiving.
And
Dan left as well.
Sleep time and end of recording time.
Yep. All right.
Yep.
Good night, everybody. We enjoyed session 20.
We learned nothing.